Chapter 40-25. Qin Feiyang walked over and whispered, "Don't take what I said just now to heart. I wasn't talking to you." The Sword Emperor and the others were stunned. "I was afraid that you would think too much, so I specially explained it." Qin Feiyang scratched his head. Although he was very strong now and was the #1 person in the Sky Cloud realm, in front of these old people, he would always be a child. Hearing this, the Sword Emperor and the others couldn't help but laugh. The Mermaid Emperor said discontentedly, "You brat, I didn't want to scold you, but you just had to ask for it. Are we such petty people?" "Yes, yes, yes." Qin Feiyang nodded again and again. He naturally didn't dare to neglect the Mermaid Emperor. After all, he was the ancestor of the Mermaid Princess. "Enough. We know that. No matter how hard we old guys work, we can't catch up to these shadow guards." The Blackwing Emperor waved his hand. "That's not what I meant. You really misunderstood. From the beginning, I brought you to the Black Tortoise realm to let you live a comfortable life. I never thought of letting you take action and worry about mundane matters." Qin Feiyang hurriedly explained. The Mermaid Emperor and the others looked at each other and sighed, "See, you all dislike us for coming." "You all?" Qin Feiyang was a little at a loss. All of a sudden, they burst into laughter. The Mermaid Emperor shook his head and said, "I'm just teasing you. Don't worry, we won't join in the fun, but it's really boring to stay in the Devil's Land all day." "Indeed." The Blackwing Emperor nodded. "The Black Tortoise realm is so big, you all can go out and walk around." Qin Feiyang said. "How many years have we been in the Black Tortoise realm? Which place haven't you been to?" "We've been everywhere." The White Wing Emperor also shook his head. Qin Feiyang said, "Then I can't help it. I can't let you go to the Sky Cloud realm, right? I'm worried." "There's a way." The Mermaid Emperor chuckled and gave the Black Wing Emperor and the others a look. They all nodded with a smile. Seeing this, Qin Feiyang couldn't help but have an ominous premonition. He asked cautiously, "What is it?" "It's simple." The Mermaid Emperor glanced at the Mermaid Princess behind him and laughed hoarsely. "You two should hurry up and have a few children. Then we old men will be very busy." It was indeed a trap. Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched. The Mermaid Princess, who was standing behind him, also blushed. "Good luck." The Mermaid Emperor patted Qin Feiyang's shoulder and looked at Long Chen, the Crazy One, and the others with a smile. He said, "The same goes for all of you. Young people, don't be so restrained. Indulge when it's time to do so. Otherwise, where will the incense come from?" Long Chen and the others were also stunned. Zhuo Xiaoxian and Huo Wu, who were standing beside the Crazy One and the White-Eyed Wolf, had their cheeks as red as apples. Even Long Qin lowered his head shyly. "All right, I won't disturb you." The Mermaid Emperor waved his hand and left with the Sword Emperor and the others with a smile. Ahem. The White-Eyed Wolf coughed and hugged Huo Wu. He laughed and said, "Sister Feng, since the old man said so, shall we go and indulge ourselves?" "What did you say?" Huo Wu immediately twisted the White-Eyed Wolf's ear and said angrily, "Last time at the Sky Bell Divine Treasury, you said those nonsense to Qin Feiyang and the Crazy One. I haven't settled the score with you yet. Wife, please spare me. I was wrong, I was wrong." The White-Eyed Wolf immediately wailed. "Were you wrong?" Huo Wu leaned over to the White-Eyed Wolf's ear and whispered, "I see that you are quite intimate with Long Qin outside. Do you want to take in another concubine?" "That's a good idea." The White-Eyed Wolf's eyes lit up. "Are you okay?" Huo Wu's face darkened. She pulled the White-Eyed Wolf's ear hard and almost pulled it off. "No, no. It's about to be pulled off." "Ouch, ouch, ouch," the miserable howl sounded like a pig being slaughtered. The white-eyed wolf looked at Qin Feiyang and the others for help. However, the group of people were gloating as they flew towards the tea garden. "You have no loyalty." The white-eyed wolf cursed angrily. He thought to himself, this jealous woman is really scary. Huo Wu let go of her hand, looked at the white-eyed wolf, and asked, "Tell me honestly, are you interested in Long Qin?" The white-eyed wolf rubbed his ear. Why did she suddenly become so calm? No. This was the calm before the storm. Huo Wu sighed and said, "Actually, as long as you don't hide it from me, I won't object. After all, it will be easier for me to take care of you." "Really?" the white-eyed wolf asked. "Do you really have such thoughts?" She turned hostile immediately and pulled the white-eyed wolf's ear again. Her face was full of anger. "I'm devoted to you, you bastard, but you still want to take in a concubine?" In the tea garden, Qin Feiyang and the others sat around the table. A pot of ancient dragon god tea filled the tea garden with the fragrance of tea. Listening to the white-eyed wolf's miserable howl, Long Chen shook his head and sighed. Who would have thought that the arrogant golden-winged wolf king outside would become a kitten when he came to the black tortoise world? No, no, no. He's not a kitten, he's a little lamb, a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. The madman grinned and took out a jar of unparalleled divine brew. While listening to the white-eyed wolf's miserable howl, he drank happily. My girl is the best. She just sat there quietly, obedient and sensible. Don't drink so much. Zhuo Xiaoxian, who was standing beside him, glared at him. The madman's expression froze. He hurriedly said to himself, so many people are watching. Leave me some face. When we get home later, you can do whatever you want to me. Who wants to do anything to you? Zhuo Xiaoxian secretly rolled her eyes. Look, my Miss Xiaoxian is still the gentle, virtuous, and considerate one. The madman grabbed Zhuo Xiaoxian's hand, his face full of pride. Zhuo Xiaoxian blushed. Ahem. Care about the feelings of us single dogs. The masked Azura coughed and lowered his head to drink his tea. I just want to torture you single dogs. How about it? Go ahead and be envious. The madman laughed loudly. He was really arrogant. The masked Azura's mouth twitched. He didn't say anything else. What the eye doesn't see, the heart doesn't grieve over. At the same time, the demon ancestor glanced at the group of people while drinking his tea. He seemed to be hesitating about something. Qin Feiyang put down his teacup and grabbed the mermaid princess's hand. He looked at Long Chen, who was sitting opposite him, and asked, Brother Long, not long ago, you said that you want to talk about your opinion of the king. What do you mean by that? As soon as he said that, it immediately attracted everyone's attention. Long Chen looked at the others, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said with a faint smile, Don't tell me you don't have an opinion. Tell me your opinion first. Qin Feiyang smiled. Okay. Long Chen nodded. Wait. But suddenly, the demon ancestor spoke. He put down the teacup in his hand and said with a smile, Let's talk about something else first. Just at this time, the white-eyed wolf walked over with Fire Dance. Fire Dance, who was incomparably valiant before, was now gentle and kind. She hugged the white-eyed wolf's arm and walked leisurely. The white-eyed wolf's appearance was extremely miserable. Especially his ear, it was almost deformed. Brother, you really don't have any loyalty. Walking into the tea garden, the white-eyed wolf glared at everyone fiercely. Then, he took out a jar of unparalleled divine brew. Let's not drink today. Look, everyone is drinking tea. It's not good for you to drink. Fire Dance smiled gently. The white-eyed wolf stared and immediately pointed at the madman, Isn't he drinking too? Before he finished, Fire Dance's eyes flashed coldly. The white-eyed wolf was immediately stunned and said with a flattering smile, "Okay, okay, okay, I won't drink. Drinking tea is good for health. Little Qin Zi, quickly pour the tea." He flattered Fire Dance with a smile, but when it came to Qin Feiyang, he immediately became fierce. "I didn't provoke you." Qin Feiyang was speechless. He poured a cup of tea for the white-eyed wolf. Letting this wolf cub drink tea was really too difficult for him. However, what no one noticed was that Long Qin was hiding a sound transmission god stone in his hand. There was also a hint of ridicule in his eyes. Qin Feiyang handed the teacup to the white-eyed wolf, then looked at the demon ancestor and smiled. "What do you want to say?" "It's about Long Chen bribing Mu Tianyang and Mu Qing," the demon ancestor said. Long Chen's pupils immediately shrank. The white-eyed wolf and Frenzy couldn't help but raise their eyebrows and stare at the demon ancestor angrily. Bribing Mu Tianyang and Mu Qing? Qin Feiyang was stunned. What was going on? Mermaid Princess, Fire Dance, Shuo Xiaoxian, Yun Xiang, Mas de Jura, Li Feng, Li Zhongsheng, and Long Qin were also suspicious. "Don't stare at me like that." The demon ancestor helplessly looked at Frenzy and the white-eyed wolf and smiled. "If there wasn't today's battle, I definitely wouldn't have brought up this matter in front of Long Chen." "Then what do you mean now? If you say it like that, how can we set a trap for him in the future?" The white-eyed wolf was very angry. He had always been brooding over this matter. And he had been waiting for Qin Feiyang to come out of seclusion to plan a trap for Long Chen. In any case, he wanted Long Chen to suffer a double loss after trying to trick him. But now, since the demon ancestor had brought it up in front of them, there was no way to target him anymore. "Like I said before, if there wasn't today's incident, I wouldn't stop you from setting a trap for him. But today, in order to protect Qin Feiyang, whether it was Long Chen or Long Qin, they risked their lives. They didn't even flinch in the face of death several times. And Frenzy, have you forgotten? When you were facing Heavenly Lord Ji, you personally said that all the grudges in the past would be written off. And you also said that you would fight side by side in the next life. And White-Eyed Wolf, you also shouted very loudly at that time." The demon ancestor smiled. Frenzy and the white-eyed wolf's expressions froze. They really did say that. "Personally, I think that although there is indeed an irreconcilable grudge between the two of you, since both of you can say such things in front of Heavenly Lord Ji, it proves that you don't hate each other in your hearts. So what I want to say is that since we have already started this, why don't we take advantage of this moment to completely end it once and for all? So that we don't have to constantly be on guard against you scheming against me and me scheming against you all the time in the future. How tiring would that be?" The demon ancestor sighed. Only by completely resolving these grudges could everyone truly work together to deal with the Divine Kingdom. Chapter 40-26. Madman and White-Eyed Wolf became silent after hearing this. Although they didn't like Long Chen and his sister, the effort they had put in this time was obvious to all. "What's going on? Can you tell us first?" Qin Feiyang looked at them, it seemed to be quite serious. White-Eyed Wolf glanced at Long Chen and said, "Little Chen, do you want to tell us yourself or do you want us to help you? Can you not call me that? It's too awkward to hear." Long Chen smiled bitterly, put down his teacup and sighed. "I really underestimated Mu Tianyang and Mu Qing. I thought they would be tempted, but I didn't expect them to tell you guys in a blink of an eye." "You didn't underestimate them. They were indeed tempted. Mu Qing even wanted to scheme against Dong Zhengyang." Madman harumphed coldly. "Then how did you guys find out?" Long Chen looked at them suspiciously. "Devil Ancestor. After meeting you, Mu Tianyang and Mu Qing came back. The Devil Ancestor had already found out something was wrong." Madman explained the situation briefly for Qin Feiyang to hear. "So that's how it is. Long Chen nodded and looked at the devil ancestor with admiration. No wonder you're the one who once forced Qin Feiyang into a desperate situation. What happened in the past is a sin. The devil ancestor shook his head. Whenever he thought of the sins he committed in Great Qin, he couldn't help but feel remorseful. That's why he was working hard to resolve the grudges between them. Because he knew this kind of hatred the best. If he didn't resolve the grudges between them now, this hatred would only grow deeper in the future. It might even evolve into the current situation between the sky-cloud boundary and the divine kingdom. At that time, the sky-cloud boundary would be in even more danger. Qin Feiyang finally understood that Long Chen was preparing for a rainy day. This move was really ingenious. Mu Qing and Mu Tianyang both possessed the strongest fighting soul. Once he convinced the two of them to cooperate with Long Chen, he could really deal a fatal blow to them from behind. Qin Feiyang asked, "Where are Mu Qing and the others now?" "Inside the Blood Demon Tower." Madman said. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "Call them out." Madman waved his hand and 3 figures appeared. They were Mu Qing, Mu Tianyang, and Dong Zhengyang. "Brother Qin, congratulations." Dong Zhengyang cupped his hands and said, "The gap between us is getting bigger and bigger." Mu Tianyang also shook his head and sighed. Qin Feiyang laughed involuntarily and said, "It will be the same after your fighting souls have evolved." Easier said than done. The two of them sighed and sat on the empty seats next to him. However, Mu Qing stood at the side with an extremely panicked look. Qin Feiyang glanced at Mu Qing and turned to look at Madman. He asked suspiciously, "Where are Old Pei and the others?" "They have been on the battlefield. As for now, they should have left the land of buried gods. They might be in the demonic palace in the eastern continent because we have been cultivating in seclusion in the demonic palace all these years." Madman said. Qin Feiyang nodded and looked at Mu Qing with a smile. "Have you really not felt how I have treated you all these years?" Mu Qing lowered her head and was so ashamed that she could not show her face. "The door of potential is opened for you. The nomological miniatures are all yours. I even let you go with me when I go to Big Brother's place to cultivate in seclusion. I think I have done well enough, but why can't I move you? If I remember correctly, we have known each other longer than Mu Tianyang and the demon ancestor. Back then, when your sister died in the hands of Zhuge Mingyang, I was a little sad. Moreover, we are about the same age. I always thought that you would be more reasonable than Mu Tianyang, but now, your actions are not even 1/10 of Mu Tianyang's. At least Mu Tianyang still remembers Dong Zhengyang saving his life, but you have completely forgotten about it. If Dong Zhengyang didn't save you back then, would you still be alive?" Qin Feiyang's face was filled with disappointment. Hearing these words, Mu Qing clenched her fists and nodded. "Yes, I was wrong in this matter, but didn't I already swear a blood oath? What else do you want? If you do something wrong, you naturally have to bear the corresponding consequences. How about this, I'll invite you to stay in Soul Sealing Valley for a while." Qin Feiyang smiled. Soul Sealing Valley. Just hearing this name was enough to make people shudder. Not to mention staying there for a while, it was simply torture. Qin Feiyang looked at the white-eyed wolf and smiled. "Thank you for making the trip and bringing her there. What's so hard about it? I'm happy to help." The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth and stood up to look at Mu Qing. "Let's go. I'll take you to enjoy life." "Qin Feiyang, you can't do this to me. Even Dong Zhengyang himself has chosen to forgive me. What right do you have to hold on to it?" Mu Qing hurriedly ran behind Mu Tianyang to seek protection and shouted. "Because I have a better conscience than you. I've always believed in one truth. If you do something wrong, you have to pay the price. Moreover, by doing this, you've offended not only Dong Zhengyang, but also our trust in you. Qin Feiyang's eyes were cold. He looked at the white-eyed wolf and said, "If he doesn't cooperate, you know what to do." The white-eyed wolf laughed again and again. Was there a need to say it? Qin Feiyang looked at Mu Qing again and said with a faint smile, "Don't worry, you're going there to reflect on your mistakes. It won't torment you for too long. After 3 years, you can come out of Soul Ceiling Valley." After saying that, Qin Feiyang waved his hand. The white-eyed wolf picked up Mu Qing and rushed toward Soul Ceiling Valley. "No, ancestor, save me. I don't want to go to Soul Ceiling Valley," Mu Qing wailed. Qin Feiyang, Mu Tianyang looked at Qin Feiyang anxiously. "I'm doing this for his own good. If you continue to be so lenient with him, sooner or later, he will get into big trouble. At that time, I'm afraid we don't even need to do anything. Others will kill him." Qin Feiyang looked at Mu Tianyang and said in a deep voice, "That's right. This is like educating a child. If you can't bear to punish him now, society will help you educate him in the future. When that time comes, the beating he will face will not be so simple." The madman grinned. Sigh. Mu Tianyang sighed and fell silent. 3 years is very fast. In the outside world, it's just a blink of an eye. The demon ancestor smiled at Mu Tianyang, then looked at Qin Feiyang and Longchen, and said, "Now, let's solve your problem." Longchen drank his tea and remained silent. Qin Feiyang also picked up his teacup. As he drank, he smiled and said, "Brother Long, do you want me to express my opinion first? After all, I'm in the wrong this time." Longchen shook his head. Thinking about it now, his behavior this time was indeed a bit stupid. However, he really didn't expect to be discovered by the demon ancestor. It seemed that the demon ancestor was the one he should fight for the most. However, it was almost impossible to fight for the demon ancestor. Because after that battle, the demon ancestor had already repented. In short, the once heinous demon ancestor had disappeared. The demon ancestor sitting in front of them now was filled with justice and benevolence. He would never bow to anyone for the inheritance of the ultimate profound. "Since you said so, then I'll talk about my inner thoughts first." Qin Feiyang let out a breath and said with a smile, "I didn't have a good impression of your mother and sister in the past, but for you, Longchen, I have only admiration and appreciation. Don't forget. I, the person you hate, am risking my life to protect you this time." Longchen snorted coldly. "I know. That's why I said in the past. Now, I have gratitude and appreciation for you in my heart." Qin Feiyang smiled. "I don't need your appreciation." Longchen had a look of disdain. Qin Feiyang smiled helplessly, looked at Longchen and continued, "Let's talk about the grudges between us. Back then, it was your mother who attacked my ancestor first. She wanted to snatch my ancestor's bloodline power and let you fuse with it. Later, she attacked me for the same purpose. I know that. Actually, I don't need it at all." Longchen nodded. "You really don't need it, but your mother doesn't think so. This is the fuse between us. In fact, whether it's me or my ancestor, we only hope for the world to be peaceful and all things to coexist. Therefore, my ancestor created the Dragon Slayer Palace to fight against you dragons. Later, because of me and senior brother Feng Zi's participation, as well as the support of the billions of creatures in the ancient world, we won the war. At the same time, other than you and your mother, the dragons were all wiped out. To be honest, when the war ended back then, I had already let go of this hatred in my heart." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. "Are you sure you've let go?" Longchen frowned. Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned, then smiled and said, "Of course, the matter between me and your father definitely won't end like this, but this is a grudge between me and him. It has nothing to do with you. But we're his children. Long Qin said. I know. But isn't there a saying that goes like this? Every injustice has its perpetrator, and every debt has its debtor. Qin Feiyang smiled. Long Qin snorted coldly and said, Don't look so magnanimous. You can let go, but we can't. After all, this is the hatred of the extermination of our clan. But have you ever thought about how many innocent living beings were slaughtered by your dragon clan when you ruled the ancient world? For example, Fire Lotus. Back then, she died in the hands of your ancestral dragons. If I hadn't met her, I'm afraid she would still be wandering the land of the dead. Qin Feiyang sighed. Fire Lotus also clenched her hands, but she soon loosened them. Because on the day of the extermination of the dragons, she had already let go of the hatred in her heart. Long Qin was speechless. As for coming to the Sky Cloud realm, the Dragon God Sword and the Sacred Ice Sword attacked me. This was all instructed by your father. It has nothing to do with you. Of course, it may have something to do with your mother. But now, it's no longer important. After all, you have sacrificed so much for the Sky Cloud realm, and even risked your lives to protect me. Even if I want to kill her, I have to consider your face, right? As for the dragons of the Sky Cloud realm, back then, I said that whether it's the dragons, the Feng people, or the Kirin clan, once Long Zun and the other two die, the past grudges will be written off. So now, except for Ice Dragon and Small Beast, I have no hatred for anyone. This is what I think in my heart. The truest thought. Qin Feiyang smiled. Chapter 40-27. After saying that, Qin Feiyang calmly drank his tea. Everyone looked at Qin Feiyang's face. It was very sincere, without any trace of lying. But thinking about it, it made sense. The dragons of the ancient world had already paid the price for their sins. There was indeed no need to hate them. Moreover, Long Chen's contribution to the Sky Cloud realm was enough to make up for everything. Demon Ancestor smiled and said, Qin Feiyang has already said his thoughts. Long Chen, you should also express your position. The cycle of cause and effect is all retribution. Everything in the ancient world was caused by the brutality of the dragons. The creatures of the ancient world can't tolerate us dragons. It's reasonable for them to rise up and resist. As far as I'm concerned, the dragons of the ancient world will go to the point of extinction. It's all our fault. So, regarding this matter, I have never blamed anyone. I believe that all of you can see this, but, speaking of this, Long Chen couldn't help but look at Long Qin. In his mind, Long Zun's figure appeared. I can understand. You also have no choice. But for your mother and sister, this matter can only be explained by you. It's useless for us to say more. Instead, it will cause their disgust and make the situation even more chaotic. Demon Ancestor said. Thank you. Long Chen smiled gratefully. However, today we sit down to talk about these things, not to see your mother and sister's attitude, but mainly to see your attitude. What is your attitude? Now that everyone is already comrades who have gone through life and death together, you might as well say it directly. Demon Ancestor smiled. My attitude, it's naturally best if we can get along peacefully. Actually, when we were in the ancient world, I wanted to make friends with Qin Feiyang, Lunatic, and White-Eyed Wolf. Because I feel that fighting with them is very reliable. However, what I admire most about them is their sense of brotherhood, never abandoning their companions, and caring for the common people. Long Chen smiled slightly. Isn't this the same as what we thought? If it weren't for our different standpoints, we would have become friends in the ancient world. Senior brother, don't you think so? Qin Feiyang looked at Lunatic and smiled. Yes. Lunatic responded weakly. He had indeed let go of the previous grudges, but this time, Long Chen plotted against them behind their backs, which made it difficult for him to let go. There's nothing to be calculative about. Although he schemed against us behind our backs, he also risked his life to help us. Let's call it even. Qin Feiyang. The madman frowned and suddenly stared at the demon ancestor as he said unhappily, "You really are a good person now. If you were in Great Qin, would you be like this and have such conflict with old Qin?" Cough cough. It's all in the past. Can we not mention it? All right. Lunatic sighed helplessly and looked at Long Chen. Not long ago, I saw you and your sister fighting side by side with us, and it really touched my heart. As long as you don't plot against us behind our backs in the future, I'll pretend that nothing happened in the past. I don't agree. Long Qin immediately shouted. I don't agree either. Another voice sounded. It was Li Feng. At this moment, Li Feng stared at Long Chen and his sister, his blood-red eyes filled with killing intent. Lunatic ancestor was stunned and slapped his head hard. He had actually neglected Li Feng, an important factor. Qin Feiyang, Lunatic, and Long Chen were all easy to talk to. After all, they had always admired each other. However, Li Feng hated the dragon clan to the bone. Moreover, it was also because of this hatred that he had walked all the way to where he was today. Li Feng had devoured countless living beings in the past. Why did he do this? It was nothing more than wanting to take revenge for the villagers. In order to take revenge, he worked hard to become stronger, unscrupulous. Now, he had finally grown up. But before he could take revenge, suddenly, everyone wanted to write off the past grudges. He definitely could not accept it. Although we can let it go, this kid can't. We have to understand as well. After all, we have witnessed the destruction of Cloud Mountain Village with our own eyes. The tragic death of the villagers is too big of a blow to him. Lunatic sighed secretly. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. You really want me to let it go? Sure. Let Longzuan go to the ancient world, kneel at the entrance of the village, kowtow and repent. Li Feng said. What did you say? Long Qin turned to stare at Li Feng, his eyes flashing coldly. Did I say something wrong? This is the sin committed by dragons. Li Feng said angrily. Then was it my mother who killed the people in your village? Qin Feiyang has said before that every injustice has its perpetrator and every debt has its debtor. If you want to take revenge, go find the people who massacred your village. Don't be like a mad dog, biting people everywhere. Long Qin snorted coldly. Qin, Long Chen reprimanded. Why are you reprimanding me? It's clearly him who wants to put this groundless crime on my mother. Long Qin said angrily. Although the village wasn't massacred by Longzuan, it was you dragons who massacred the village. As the ruler of the dragons, doesn't your mother have any responsibility? Li Feng roared, his eyes were bloodshot. The murderous aura around his body rose like a blood-colored flame. According to what you said, if you accidentally fell, wouldn't you blame the god of creation? Because it was the god of creation who created this world. The two of them were tit for tat. What are you arguing about? If you don't agree, go out and fight. Whoever wins has the final say. Lunatic looked at the two of them impatiently. Fine. Li Feng stood up and looked at Long Qin. If you can defeat me, we will write off this debt. Sure. If you can defeat me, I will kneel down and apologize to you in front of everyone on behalf of my mother. Long Qin also stood up with a swoosh and stared at Li Feng. It's a deal? Li Feng asked. It's a deal. Long Qin said. Li Feng took a deep breath, turned his head and looked at Qin Feiyang, and said, Big brother Qin, I don't want to make things difficult for you, so I want to use my own method to solve this matter. I ask for your support. Qin Feiyang looked at Li Feng, looked at Long Chen and asked, "What do you think?" "Sure." Long Chen nodded. Since he wanted to solve it, then he might as well solve it completely, lest he drag it out and cause more trouble. If that's the case, Qin Feiyang looked at Long Qin and Li Feng, took a deep breath, stood up and said, "Then I'll fulfill your wish, but you are no longer children, so you have to keep your word." Finished. He turned to look at Li Zhongsheng and the other two and said with a smile, "You guys go and recuperate first." "All right." The three of them nodded. Immediately, Qin Feiyang waved his hand, except for Li Zhongsheng and the other two, everyone present immediately appeared outside. Outside, the fluctuations from the previous battle had not dissipated. Not to mention this short period of time, even if it was 100 or 80 years, this land would not be able to recover its vitality. Because the damage was too serious. Unless there was enough life energy. Long Qin took a step out and landed 1,000 miles away. He turned to look at Li Feng and said, "This battle, regardless of life and death." Hearsay. Li Feng smiled and also took a step out, landing in front of Long Qin and said, "Fight to the death." "Afraid of you?" Long Qin laughed coldly. The ultimate meaning of the three strongest laws was instantly activated, and the aura of destruction surged in all directions like a tide. At the same time, Li Feng also began to use his puppet real body. The three puppet real bodies were like three merciless death gods. Boom! The ultimate meaning of the spacetime law was activated, and 4 galaxies fell from the sky, exuding the power to destroy the world. "You're using your trump card?" The demon ancestor frowned. "Otherwise, do you think this is a game, a joke?" Madman sneered. He had absolute confidence in Li Feng. Although Li Feng only mastered one ultimate meaning of the strongest law, and Long Qin mastered 3, Li Feng had the puppet real bodies. 3 puppet real bodies, plus himself, meant that Long Qin was now facing 4 Li Fengs. 3 ultimate meanings of the strongest laws were not enough. Boom! Sure enough, accompanied by a loud noise, Long Qin's 3 ultimate meanings of the strongest laws were mercilessly crushed on the spot. Puff! A mouthful of blood spurted out, and his face was slightly pale. It seemed that Li Feng had the upper hand, but Qin Feiyang inadvertently discovered that Long Chen's face at this moment did not have the slightest bit of worry for Long Qin. Could it be, what other tricks did Long Qin have up his sleeve? If that was the case, this method must be able to threaten Li Feng, otherwise Long Chen would not be so calm. However, since Long Qin still had tricks up his sleeve, why didn't he see him use it when facing Heavenly Lord Ji and the Monarch? On the battlefield. "You dare to compete with me with that little bit of strength of yours?" Li Feng's expression was extremely ferocious, and the remaining ultimate meaning of the spacetime law flooded the sky, crazily attacking Long Qin. He did not show any mercy at all. His eyes were full of murderous intent. "Who are you looking down on?" Long Qin laughed angrily. A wave of spacetime power rolled out. A river of stars descended from the sky, slamming into the river of stars that Li Feng had summoned. 2 ultimate profound meanings were shattered in response. Li Feng was also forced to retreat, and a trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. This madman was stunned. If he remembered correctly, the strongest laws that Long Qin mastered seemed to be the time array, the death law, and the karma law. How could there be another ultimate meaning of the spacetime law? Most importantly, he had never seen Long Qin open it before. As expected, Qin Feiyang murmured and turned to Long Chen. "It seems that your sister has integrated another ultimate meaning in these years." Long Chen smiled but did not say anything. Hearing this, the demon ancestor and the others looked at each other and could not help but smile bitterly. It was indeed different to have a powerful father. Inheritances were easy to obtain. If it wasn't for the ice dragon, Long Qin probably wouldn't have been able to comprehend the ultimate profundity of an ordinary law, let alone for ultimate profundities of ultimate laws. What was the saying again? It was true that comparisons were odious. Zhuo Shaoxian was confused. If she has integrated another ultimate meaning, why didn't she activate it when facing Heavenly Lord Ji and the monarch? Silly girl. Madman grabbed Zhuo Shaoxian's hand and explained, how powerful are Heavenly Lord Ji and the monarch. Even if she activates the ultimate meaning of the spacetime law, what's the use? That's right. Even if she has mastered 6 ultimate meanings of the strongest laws and integrated them with the will of heaven, she can't defeat Heavenly Lord Ji and the monarch, let alone 4 ultimate meanings of the strongest laws. After all, both of them have 3,000 incarnations. Long Chen nodded and sighed. Thinking of the 3,000 incarnations, he could not help but feel tired. Chapter 40-28. On the battlefield. Li Feng stabilized his body and raised his head to look at Long Qin. I really didn't expect you to have hidden an ultimate meaning. There are still many things you didn't expect. Long Qin sneered. The ultimate meaning of the 4 strongest laws appeared out of thin air. So what if you have more ultimate meanings? Is this something you comprehended by yourself? Isn't it all because of your father? Otherwise, what are you? Li Feng's face was full of ridicule. So what if it is? At least, I have a father to rely on, but do you have one? Long Qin retorted. This sentence undoubtedly ignited the anger in Li Feng's heart. Carrying a monstrous aura, he charged forward. I have touched your sore spot, right? Orphan. Long Qin sneered. Damn woman, I will kill you. Li Feng roared. Who taught you to be so arrogant when you're an orphan? Long Qin wasn't afraid at all. Boom. Both of them clashed. Terrifying fluctuation spread in all directions. This is bad. Qin Feiyang whispered. What's wrong? Madman looked at him, puzzled. Even if Long Qin grasped the ultimate meaning of the 4 strongest laws, he shouldn't be Li Feng's opponent. After all, Li Feng still had the ultimate meaning of the slaughter law. Can't you see that Long Qin is deliberately provoking him? Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice. You mean, Long Qin also knows that Li Feng has the ultimate meaning of the slaughter law, so he used this method to anger Li Feng and make him lose his mind? Madman was bewildered. Yes. Once Li Feng loses his mind, I'm afraid he will forget about the fact that he grasps the ultimate meaning of the slaughter law. In the face of such a battle, Long Qin can still maintain a calm mind and target Li Feng's weakness. We really can't underestimate him. Qin Feiyang mumbled. Then, do we need to remind Li Feng? Madman asked. This is their battle. It's best if we don't intervene. Moreover, for Li Feng, this is also a rare tempering. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and then silently watched the battlefield. The battle had reached its climax. Long Qin kept provoking Li Feng with words. Li Feng had completely lost his mind and had not activated the ultimate meaning of the law of slaughter. Think about it. What would happen if a person who had lost his rationality fought with a person who was calm and collected? There was no suspense. Those who had lost their rationality would gradually be at a disadvantage. Just like this. Li Feng was gradually suppressed by Long Qin. Even with the help of the 3 true body puppets, it was useless. Wounds kept appearing on his body, making him look extremely miserable. Bang! After several hundred rounds, Long Qin seized the opportunity and slapped Li Feng's chest with his palm. Li Feng immediately spat out a mouthful of blood, and his entire body flew out like a meteor, dyeing the sky red with his blood. I can't beat her. What's going on? I seem to have forgotten something. But what exactly is it? Calm down, you must calm down. Qin Dage has taught me more than once that the stronger the enemy, the more important it is to maintain a calm mind. Li Feng mumbled, shaking his head. Boom! At the same time, Long Qin did not give Li Feng the slightest chance to counterattack. Four ultimate mysteries were activated, releasing monstrous divine power, and charged toward Li Feng at lightning speed. That's right. I still have the ultimate mystery of the law of slaughter. As the crisis of death shrouded him, Li Feng suddenly quivered and finally thought of the law of slaughter. Go to hell. Immediately. He roared, and the two ultimate mysteries of the law of space and time and the law of slaughter instantly appeared. At the same time, the three true body puppets had also activated two ultimate mysteries. In total, there were 8 ultimate mysteries. Rumble, the aura of the 8 ultimate mysteries surged, destroying everything in all directions. Accompanied by a loud explosion that shook heaven and earth, Longqin's 4 ultimate law ultimate mysteries and Li Feng's 4 ultimate law ultimate mysteries were destroyed in the void. Immediately after, Li Feng and the true body puppet's 4 ultimate mysteries of the law of slaughter transformed into a blood sword, rolling up monstrous waves of blood, and madly charged toward Longqin. I didn't expect that I would be able to wake up at the critical moment. Longqin was infuriated. A terrifying sovereign aura spread out from his body. Angel's sword. Qin Feiyang's pupils contracted. Although the Angel's sword had been shattered in the collision with Heavenly Lord Ji and the Monarch, it was still a mid-level sovereign weapon. Even if it was heavily damaged, it could still unleash a destructive divine power. Brother Longchen, this is not fair. Zhuo Shaoxian looked at Longchen and said. To this. Longchen just smiled. You really are an idiot. Frenzy looked at Zhuo Shaoxian helplessly. This little girl was really too naive. He really dared to let her go out alone in the future. Otherwise, if she was sold, she would have to help count the money. What kind of battle was this? It was a battle of life and death. It was not a spar, nor was it a joke. Everything depended on one's means. Therefore, there was no such thing as fair or unfair. There was only victory and defeat. Clang! The heavenly god sword attacked. Although it was heavily injured, its divine power was still hard to block. The ultimate profundities of the 4 ordinary laws were annihilated in an instant. Following that terrifying sharpness, they surged towards Li Feng in an overwhelming manner. Li Feng's expression changed drastically and he quickly dodged. But the Angel's sword was not an ordinary weapon. It was a sovereign weapon and had its own consciousness. Seeing Li Feng dodge, it did not chase after him. Instead, it directly slashed at the 3 puppets. The 3 puppets were annihilated. At this moment, the Angel's sword attacked Li Feng. Longqin also attacked furiously. Li Feng did not give up. 2 ultimate profound appeared and blasted at the Angel's sword. With a loud bang, the Angel's sword was sent flying and its light dimmed. Obviously, the current Angel's sword could only unleash the power of one ultimate law. In other words, its current power was about the same as a low-level sovereign weapon. It could be seen how serious the damage was when it fought with Heavenly Lord Ji and the Monarch. However, although the Heavenly God sword was sent flying, Longqin was also with the young master. The ultimate profound of the time law turned into a translucent long sword and placed it across Li Feng's neck. There was a bloody mark on his nose and streams of blood flowed down. You lost. Longqin said. Li Feng clenched his fists, his eyes filled with unwillingness. Don't be unconvinced. This is not a spar, nor is it a game. I have a sovereign weapon. This is my ability and ability. You don't have it. That's your problem, so don't make me look down on you. Longqin waved her hand and the time divine sword dissipated. The angel's sword also turned into a stream of light and disappeared into her body. Li Feng lowered his head and his eyes kept trembling. Drops of tears fell. These were tears of unwillingness. After cultivating so hard for so many years, he actually lost to Longqin. Was the blood feud of the village really over? Could everyone rest in peace? Ah, I'm really a piece of trash, Li Feng roared at the sky, tears blurring his vision. This is not good. He's been hit. Lunatic whispered. He's shouldering too much. Even if he wins this battle against Longqin, it's impossible for him to really let it go. Qin Feiyang shook his head and sighed. How could he comfort him? But suddenly, Longqin took a step forward and landed in front of Li Feng. Huh? Everyone looked at Longqin suspiciously. If you want to laugh, laugh. Li Feng glanced at Longqin and turned to leave. Longqin's heart trembled. From Li Feng's eyes, there was no color, as if he was a walking corpse. It seemed that the blow this time was really not small. I'm not here to laugh at you. Longqin looked at Li Feng's back and said. After saying that, under everyone's shocked gaze, he knelt in the void. Brother? Longqin hurried forward, pulled Longqin, and asked, What are you doing? Why did you kneel to him? You kneeled to me? When Li Feng heard this, he suddenly trembled and turned to look at Longqin. He was still kneeling in the void, and said angrily, Are you humiliating me? I've been defeated by your sister, and you still kneel to me? I don't mean to humiliate you. I'm not kneeling to you, I'm kneeling to the souls of those who died tragically in Yunshan village. Yunshan village was massacred by the dragon's clansmen. As the prince of the dragons, I also have an unshirkable responsibility. I apologize to you on behalf of them. After saying that, Longqin bowed. Li Feng lowered his head and looked at Longqin, his hands tightly clenched together. At this moment, his heart was extremely complicated. While blaming Long Zun, he was also blaming Longqin and Longqin. But he never thought that Longqin would actually kneel in the void and beg for forgiveness at this moment. One must know. He was defeated by Longqin. But Longqin still chose to do this. He was moved. The hatred that had been buried in his heart also loosened. At the same time, he was in pain again. Did he really have to let go of this hatred? But, his heart was in a mess. He didn't know how much time had passed. He turned around, looked at the horizon, and said, I admire you, just like I admire Qin Dage, because you are a responsible man. But this hatred has long been deeply rooted in my heart. It's really too difficult for me to let it go. Get up, I want to be alone and think about it. After saying that, Li Feng took a step forward and left without looking back. Longqin raised his head and looked at Li Feng's back. A trace of a smile gradually crept into his eyes. Because he could feel that the hatred in Li Feng's heart was changing. Longqin pulled Longqin up and said discontentedly, I've never seen such a foolish brother like you. Fortune favors fools. Longqin smiled slightly. There was no use in running away from these things. He could only face it. See? This is Longqin. For the sake of the overall situation, he can let go of everything. We can't not cherish such a person. The demon ancestor laughed secretly. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Even Lunatic was full of admiration for Longqin at this moment. In order to eliminate the hatred in Li Feng's heart, he could actually let go of a man's dignity. If it were him, he would definitely not be able to do it. He hoped that Li Feng could walk out of the hatred. After all, the dead can't be resurrected. The living should live well and not be controlled by hatred. If one was always bound by hatred, even if one could live a peaceful life, one's life would lose its meaning and would not even have the most basic happiness. Chapter 40-29. Li Feng left. No one knew where he went. Although Qin Feiyang was worried, he didn't chase after him. Because Long Chen had already gone this far, what else could he say? He could only let Li Feng make his own decision. The group was preparing to enter the Black Tortoise world. But at this moment, a figure descended in the void ahead. Qin Feiyang and the others looked up, and their eyes lit up. The person who came was Old Wu of the Divine Kingdom. As soon as Old Wu arrived, he saw Qin Feiyang and the others and said, "Qin Feiyang, come with me." With that, he turned and walked into the distance. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Long Chen, Madman, and the others were also puzzled. What did this person mean? Madman frowned and said, "He should be here to deliver the ultimate inheritance, right? But why did he call you over alone? Who knows?" Qin Feiyang shrugged and let go of the mermaid princess's hand. "Wait for me here." With that, he chased after Old Wu. A moment later, the two of them, one in front and one behind, arrived above a shattered mountain. Old Wu finally stopped. Qin Feiyang walked over and looked at Old Wu's back. Old Wu also turned around and sized up Qin Feiyang for a while before saying, "Now you're impressive, even the monarch was defeated by you." There was a hint of sarcasm in his words. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and said, "If you came here just to say this, then forgive me for not seeing you off." As expected, after comprehending the ultimate meaning of the law of life and death, you started to become arrogant. Old Wu sneered. "I'm arrogant?" Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. Was this person here to find trouble? If he was arrogant, would he have followed them all the way here? If he was arrogant, would he have called him you? The word you was a form of respect for old people. How could he not see such obvious respect? She really wondered if there was something wrong with this old man's eyes. "This is what you want." Old Man Wu waved his hand and 15 palm-sized iron boxes appeared in front of Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang released his divine sense and scanned it briefly before putting it away. "Aren't you going to open it?" Old Wu was stunned. "Is it necessary? If there's nothing else, please go back." Qin Feiyang looked at him disdainfully. Since he said that the old man had no regard for anyone, he would let this old man experience what it meant to have no regard for anyone. Old Wu blew his beard and glared. "Are you all right?" Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. His expression was filled with impatience. "You," Old Wu glared at Qin Feiyang and said in a deep voice, "I am at least half a teacher to the princess of the Divine Kingdom." "You, so what? What does it have to do with me? Besides, half a teacher can't mean anything. Don't flaunt your seniority in front of me." "Why? You're not convinced? Suppress me if you can." Qin Feiyang sneered. That's right, this was arrogance. He really wanted to ask this old man if he felt good. Was there a need to ask? Old Wu was about to explode when he saw Qin Feiyang's arrogant attitude. If he didn't know that he couldn't win, he would have attacked. "Hurry up, don't waste my time," Qin Feiyang urged. If there was nothing else, this old man wouldn't have called him here alone. "I'll endure it." Old Wu took a few deep breaths and calmed the anger in his heart. He looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "Do you have a grudge against the ice dragon and the heaven-devouring beast?" "How do you know?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. "At that time, before you fought with the king, didn't the heaven-devouring beast say that you had a 10,000-year agreement with it and bet the lives of several continents? For you to bet the lives of several continents with it, I'm afraid this is not an ordinary hatred," Old Wu said. So the king and the others heard it. Qin Feiyang nodded in realization. However, why did this old man suddenly mention this matter? After pondering for a while, Qin Feiyang nodded and said, "I do have a great hatred with them. Old Wu smiled, glanced around, and said in a low voice, "There is a saying that there are no eternal enemies in the world, only eternal interests. Since you have a grudge against them, why don't you cooperate with our divine kingdom?" Cooperation? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yes. Cooperation. You should have experienced the strength of our divine kingdom by now. If we help you, your chances of successfully taking revenge in the future will definitely be much higher. Old Wu smiled. This, Qin Feiyang pretended to ponder. For you, this matter can only be beneficial. Moreover, you have the purple gold dragon blood and are the descendant of Her Highness the Princess. Naturally, you are family with the king. Since you are family, you should work together to fight against the enemy. Tell me, is there any truth to what this old man said? Old Wu looked at him with a smile. It makes sense. Qin Feiyang nodded. That's right. We are family, there is no need to make such a fuss. The ice dragon and the heaven-devouring beast are our biggest enemies. You may not know how strong they are. In fact, I don't know either, but I heard from the king that even if our divine kingdom and your sky cloud realm join forces, we still can't beat them. Think about it, such a powerful existence, is it something you can deal with alone? Old Wu struck while the iron was hot and continued to instigate. Fighting alone is indeed very difficult. Qin Feiyang kept nodding. So, as long as we work together, you will no longer be alone. With the foundation of our divine kingdom, we can definitely be your backer. Not to say that you will immediately seek revenge, but at least you won't have to be so humble when you see them in the future. Old Wu looked at Qin Feiyang with a smile. He didn't expect this kid to be so easy to fool. However, just as his imagination was running wild, Qin Feiyang smiled. With a playful expression, he said, "Do you think that you can make me your chess piece by relying on your glib tongue?" Old Wu frowned. Even the ruler of your divine kingdom is scared to death when he sees the ice dragon and the small beast. Don't you think it's ridiculous to say that you want to be my backer? Also, all this time, I have not been fighting alone. I have a group of reliable companions around me. You people are not even 1/10,000th of them. No, saying 1/10,000th is flattering you. You are not even 1/10,000th of them. And the family you mentioned is even more of a joke. If the king really considers me, Qin Feiyang, as his family, would he come to kill me when I am going through the tribulation? He even didn't hesitate to violate the blood oath? That's not how you treat your family. Of course. You are my family. I, Qin Feiyang, am also not worthy of you. As for the ice dragon and the sky-swallowing beast, you don't have to worry about that. I will take care of it myself. If you are in the mood, you might as well train Ryuko and the others. After all, they are all the heavens' prides of the divine kingdom. If you lose again and again, you will not lose the face of the sky cloud realm, but the face of your divine kingdom. Qin Feiyang said with a mocking face. It could be said that he was merciless. Old Wu clenched his fists. Don't stare at me like that. And don't treat me as a fool. Although I am not as old as you, in terms of conspiracy, I will not put 100 of you in my eyes. Okay, that's it. I won't see you off. Take care. Qin Feiyang laughed and turned around without looking back. He waved his hand and strode away. Little bastard. Old Wu stared at Qin Feiyang's back with a gloomy face. He came to deliver the inheritance of the ultimate profound meaning out of kindness, but he did not expect to be severely humiliated. It was too much. But he never thought that if he did not take advantage of his seniority in the beginning, would Qin Feiyang humiliate him like that? He was purely looking for trouble. Who are you calling a little bastard? Suddenly, a voice filled with murderous intent rang out. Old Wu was shocked and quickly turned his head to the left. He saw a young man in blood-red clothes standing on the mountain below like a beast. This young man was Li Feng. He was just casually looking for a place to calm down. However, he did not expect that old Wu would bring Qin Feiyang here. Thus, he had heard the conversation between the two of them. Li Feng? Old Wu's pupils shrank. Li Feng took a step forward and landed in front of old Wu. He said coldly, "Answer me, little bastard." Old Wu raised his eyebrows and said angrily, "Are all the juniors of the Sky Cloud realm so presumptuous?" Killing intent flashed in Li Feng's eyes. He took a step forward and immediately gave a loud slap on old Wu's face. He said gloomily, "You dare to curse Qin Dage behind his back, are you looking for death?" Old Wu was dumbfounded. He actually slapped him directly. Boom! But the next moment, he was enraged. The ultimate profound of the destruction law, the space-time law, and the death law roared out. Li Feng sneered and took a step back. The real bodies of the three puppets appeared. The two ultimate profound appeared together and charged towards old Wu with the power to destroy the world. Boom! Along with a loud sound, old Wu's three ultimate profound shattered on the spot. One must know. Even Long Qin, who had mastered four ultimate profound of the strongest law, could not defeat Li Feng without the angel sword, let alone three ultimate profound. That was completely unstoppable. Ah! Along with a tragic cry, old Wu flew out and smashed into the mountains below. His body was torn apart. "The last time we fought in the land of buried gods, didn't you have the thunder battle armor and the thunder battle axe? Why didn't you show them?" Li Feng took a step forward and stepped on old Wu's chest. His face was full of killing intent. Old Wu exploded in anger. Not only was he humiliated, he was also beaten up. If he really had the thunder battle armor and the thunder battle axe, he would have taken them out when Qin Feiyang humiliated him. Would it be your turn to be arrogant here? Actually, the thunder battle armor and the thunder battle axe were not his sovereign divine weapons. The sovereign divine weapons above the intermediate level were basically under the personal control of the monarch. If others wanted them, they would first have to get the monarch's permission. And this time, he was here to deliver the ultimate profound inheritance. He did not want to become enemies with Qin Feiyang and the others, so he did not bring the sovereign divine weapon. But he did not expect to meet Li Feng, this little devil. Li Feng licked his lips and said with a sinister smile, "I wonder if you have left your divine soul in the divine kingdom like Ryuko and the others?" Hearing this, old Wu's scalp went numb. Li Feng's eyes flashed with killing intent. He stomped down, and the broken body instantly shattered, turning into a bloody mist that filled the void. But it did not hurt old Wu's divine soul. "You'd better watch your mouth in the future, especially in front of Big Brother Qin." Scram! Li Feng shouted. Good, good, good. You're good. Just you wait. Old Wu shouted, took the universe ring, turned around, and fled in panic. Finally vented my anger. Li Feng looked at old Wu's back and muttered. If old Wu heard this, he would be fuming with anger. How dare he use him as a punching bag? But then, a trace of confusion appeared in Li Feng's eyes. If he let go of the hatred in his heart, what else could he do next? At the same time, Qin Feiyang was standing in the void in the distance. He had already sensed the moment the battle broke out. He stopped there and watched silently. Seeing old Wu flee in panic, he could not help but shake his head and laugh. What an unlucky guy. Then he pondered for a while, then turned around and left without saying a word. Now, he should give Li Feng some time alone. There were some things that Li Feng had to figure out himself. When he really could not figure it out, he would come forward to enlighten him. After all, he was no longer a child. He could not rely on him for everything. Chapter 40-30 Returning to the sky above the Shen family village, everyone looked at Qin Feiyang expectantly. Are you all so impatient? Qin Feiyang smiled at the group. Nonsense. How can we not be impatient with the inheritance of 15 ultimate mysteries? Madman rolled his eyes at him and laughed. Quickly take it out and let us take a look. Don't worry, let's go to the Black Tortoise world first. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and looked down at the Shen family village. Seeing this, everyone couldn't help but look down. The Shen family village had already turned into ruins. Madman said, although I don't know how the Shen family village can help you, you seem to care about them. How about we help them? How? Qin Feiyang turned to look at him. Madman thought for a moment and said, give them crystal vein, soul vein, time array, or law miniature. These are all worldly possessions. I don't think they will care. Qin Feiyang shook his head. The older generation doesn't care, but the younger generation definitely needs it. Because there are a large number of crystal vein and soul vein, as well as time array, the young people of the Shen family village can quickly grow up. At that time, they will be able to walk out of the mountain and enter a wider world, displaying their talent and ability. Madman said. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled, you don't understand them. An ordinary life is what they want the most. Then I don't know what to give them. Madman asked. Actually, I don't know either. Qin Feiyang shook his head and pondered for a moment before saying, what I think is actually similar to what you think. The only difference is that I want to help the young people of the village open the door of potential. Door of potential? Madman was shocked. Long Chen also looked at Qin Feiyang in shock. He actually wanted to help the young people of the Shen family village open the door of potential? All these years, how did the people of the Shen family village help him? I object. Suddenly, Mermaid Princess spoke. Huh? Qin Feiyang turned to look at the Mermaid Princess. In the past, no matter what decision he made, the Mermaid Princess would always support him. But now, she was actually opposing him? This was the first time. The reason I'm against it is not because I can't bear to part with it. The Mermaid Princess shook her head. I know. Qin Feiyang nodded. How could he not understand his beloved wife? It could be said that, it was hard to meet someone kinder than her. I object because I'm worried. Although there are quite a few people who have opened the door of potential, such as He Zhongtian, Elder Hua, the Alliance leader, and so on, the news of the potential pill has yet to be leaked. I believe I don't need to tell you the importance of these potential pills. If news of this leaks out, it will definitely cause a huge uproar. This is actually not important. The most important thing is, what will the Divine Kingdom do if they receive the news? They will definitely do everything they can to deal with us. When that time comes, there will be endless trouble. The Mermaid Princess said worriedly. That makes sense. Long Chen also nodded and said, although Elder Hua and the others are not as strong as us, they are still considered the top figures in the Sky Cloud realm. They have the ability to keep this secret. However, the strongest person in the Shen family village is only a war god. If we really help them open the door of potential, I'm afraid that not only will we not help them, but we will also harm them. When Qin Feiyang heard this, he couldn't help but frown slightly. He really didn't think about this point. And the Mermaid Princess and Long Chen's worries weren't without reason. The strength of the Shen family village was too weak. If they were discovered to have opened the door of potential, they would definitely be targeted and even be killed. Treasuring a jade ring becomes a crime. This was equivalent to harming them. Actually, there is no need to care so much. Everyone has their own fate. We will try our best to give them what we can, but whether they can keep it or not is their own business. After all, we can't protect them forever. Madman said. What about the Divine Kingdom? If the divine kingdom learns of this news, then we will definitely suffer. The mermaid princess frowned. What are you afraid of? Now, even the monarch is no match for old Qin. At worst, we will fight with them. Madman laughed arrogantly. The mermaid princess was stunned. Long Chen and the others also smiled bitterly. It was true that Qin Feiyang could defeat the monarch, but it should be known that the monarch was not the only strong person in the divine kingdom. In addition to the divine king and the supremes of the human clan, there were many strong people of the older generation. There might even be many old antiques who were as strong as the monarch. Once all these people came out, then no matter how strong Qin Feiyang was, he would be powerless to reverse the situation. And now, the only person in the sky cloud realm who had the strength to fight with the monarch was Qin Feiyang. Therefore, they couldn't be careless when facing the divine kingdom. How could I not have thought of your worries? Right now, we are indeed unable to compete with the divine kingdom, but it will be hard to say in a while. Madman chuckled. What do you mean? Don't tell me that in a while, your strength will be able to catch up with the monarch and the others. Yun Xiang said. Maybe. Madman grinned at Yun Xiang, then looked at Qin Feiyang sneakily. Why are you looking at me? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Madman laughed and said, the winning treasure is on you. Who else should I look at? Me? Qin Feiyang was stunned. He didn't even know what winning treasure he had. Didn't that old man send 15 inheritances? As long as we handle it properly, won't we be able to create a few people who have mastered the ultimate profound of the 6 supreme laws? As long as we master the ultimate profound of the 6 supreme laws, we will be able to fuse with the will of the heavenly Tao. This way, won't we have the ability to fight with the human race and the divine king? Madman's eyes lit up. When everyone heard this, they were slightly stunned. It seemed to make sense. So there is no need to be afraid at all. Think about it, before old Qin comprehended the ultimate profound of the law of life and death, we dared to challenge them, let alone now. Don't be intimidated by them. Madman waved his hand indifferently. When Qin Feiyang and the others heard this, they looked at each other and couldn't help but smile bitterly. They were really intimidated by the divine kingdom. He had become timid and timid. Okay. Let's do as senior brother said. There is nothing to worry about. Lawlessness is our way of doing things. Qin Feiyang smiled. It seems that you are about to become a madman. Long Chen shook his head. It's good to be crazy because you can ignore the fear in your heart. Qin Feiyang laughed and led everyone into the black tortoise world. When they appeared in the tea garden, under Madman's anxious gaze, Qin Feiyang waved his hand and the 15 iron boxes appeared. What do you want to do? While I'm not here, you want to divide these inheritances? At this time, the white-eyed wolf ran over and stared at Qin Feiyang and the others. Then, he stared at the 15 iron boxes on the stone table with green eyes. Brother Wolf, you can't snatch it. Madman hurriedly pushed the white-eyed wolf away. Fuck. Is your brother such a person? The white-eyed wolf immediately stared at him. Yes. As soon as this statement came out, everyone immediately nodded. The white-eyed wolf's mouth twitched and said with a smile, "Don't be like this, we are all on the same side. It doesn't make any difference who gives it to." Qin Feiyang shook his head and said with a smile, "Let's open it first." Hearing this, the white-eyed wolf couldn't wait to open one of the iron boxes. A terrifying death force surged out like a tide. The inheritance of the law of death. Everyone's eyes lit up, but the white-eyed wolf was disappointed. Because it wasn't the law of life and law of destruction that he wanted, he quickly put down the iron box and opened another one. All of a sudden, everyone was stunned. Inside this iron box was also the law of death. 2 inheritances of the law of death? What the hell? That's not right. Qin Feiyang frowned. At that time, when he scanned with his divine sense, he sensed the aura of various law inheritances. The white-eyed wolf opened another iron box, but the result was still the law of death. Don't tell me that this is all the inheritance of the law of death. Madman frowned. Something's not right. Qin Feiyang released his divine sense and shrouded the remaining iron boxes. The aura of the iron boxes was indeed the aura of various law inheritances. He grabbed an iron box, and under the perception of his divine sense, it was the aura of the law of destruction. When he opened the iron box, he was dumbfounded on the spot. Although he sensed the aura of the law of destruction, when he opened it, it was still the inheritance of the law of death. What's going on here? Everyone couldn't help but frown. Something's not right. They did something to it. Qin Feiyang's eyes sank. With a wave of his hand, all the iron boxes opened in an instant. What appeared in front of them were all the inheritances of the law of death. Everyone was dumbfounded. All of the inheritances of the law of death. This must be a joke. They rubbed their eyes hard and looked again. There were no changes to the 15 inheritances of the law of death. Long Chen raised his eyebrows and also released his divine sense to shroud the 15 iron boxes. At that moment, he found a clue. On the iron boxes, there was a different aura of the law of death. These 15 iron boxes have been tampered with. They integrated the aura of the law of death into the iron boxes to conceal the aura of the law of death. Long Chen said. How can they be so shameless? The madman was furious. The white-eyed wolf turned his head to look at Qin Feiyang and asked, Little Qin Zi, didn't you check it in person? No. I just scanned it with my divine sense. Qin Feiyang lowered his head, his face extremely ugly. He was actually tricked by the people of the divine kingdom. What's wrong with you? Such an important thing, you actually didn't check it in person? The white-eyed wolf was extremely annoyed. They were all the inheritances of the law of death. What use were they to them? The madman's face was also ashen. He wanted to integrate a few different inheritances so that he could master the will of heaven, but he didn't expect that the divine kingdom actually gave them 15 inheritances of the law of death. He had already mastered the law of death, so it was useless to him. It could even be said that it was worthless to him personally. Sigh. I was careless. Qin Feiyang sighed. But he really didn't expect the divine kingdom to be so despicable. It seems that the divine kingdom also thought that we want to use these inheritances to master the will of heaven, so they gave us 15 inheritances of the law of death. Long Chen shook his head and smiled bitterly. Chapter 40-31. Little Qin Zi, you have to take full responsibility for this. The white-eyed wolf stared at Qin Feiyang. You can't blame Qin Feiyang for this. Long Chen shook his head. You can't blame him? The white-eyed wolf was stunned and asked suspiciously, then who is to blame? Even if Qin Feiyang opens the iron box and discovers this, he can't turn the situation around. It's very simple. Although the Scandinavia promised to give us 15 ultimate profundities, they did not specify which ultimate profundities they were. Of course. We can't deny that their actions are somewhat unethical. However, they have fulfilled their promise. Although they are all ultimate profound meanings of the law of death, there are indeed 15 of them. Therefore, we can't say that they cheated. Long Chen explained. Everyone nodded after hearing this. Indeed. Qin Feiyang wasn't the only one who was careless. They were careless as well. They didn't make it clear in advance and allowed the other party to take advantage of the loophole. Then what should we do now? The white-eyed wolf looked at Long Chen, his face full of unwillingness. The inheritance of 15 ultimate profound meanings was right in front of them, but it was worthless. It was really driving them crazy. I don't know either. Long Chen shook his head. The white-eyed wolf looked at Qin Feiyang again. What else can we do? After all, it's the inheritance of the strongest ultimate profound meanings of the law. We can't just throw it away. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly and sighed. Since we can't use it, let's give it to those who need it. Although they had all mastered the ultimate profound meaning of the law of death, the people around them hadn't, such as the mermaid princess, Fire Lotus, Zhuo Xiaoxian, Pei Tianhong, the demon ancestor, and so on. It was worthless to them, but it was undoubtedly a great fortune for these people. 15 ultimate profound meanings of the 15 ultimate profound meanings of the law of death. It was a good harvest. That's the only way. The white-eyed wolf sighed helplessly. Now that he had mastered the 4 ultimate profound meanings, he was only missing the Destruction Edict and the Life Edict. He had been counting on this opportunity, but he didn't expect to be tricked by the Divine Kingdom. Long Qin looked at the disappointed white-eyed wolf, then turned to Long Chen and whispered, "Brother, look at how pitiful they are. Why don't we help them?" Although his voice was very soft, everyone present heard him. Immediately, everyone turned to look at the pair of siblings. Help? Long Chen was also stunned. He asked suspiciously, "How?" Long Qin said confidently, "We definitely can't help, but Father can." Ugh! Long Chen was stunned. Qin Feiyang and the others also looked at each other. Ask the Ice Dragon for help? Was that even possible? Ice Dragon wasn't that kind-hearted. Don't count on it. Long Qin looked at Long Chen and continued, "I know it's impossible to ask Father to give them the inheritance, but we can exchange." Exchange? Long Chen was stunned and suddenly became interested. He said, "Say it more clearly. Aren't there 15 inheritances of the Death Edict here? Let's take these 15 inheritances to Father and exchange them for the Edict inheritance they need. I don't think Father will refuse such a small matter." Long Qin smiled. Good idea. Hearing that, Long Chen's eyes lit up, and he immediately clapped his hands and cheered. This time, it was because Father and the others came forward that we were able to get these 15 inheritances. And now, the Divine Kingdom is playing us like this, which is equivalent to disrespecting Father and the others. As long as we tell them the truth, they will definitely be furious. By then, we don't even need to waste our breath and they will agree. Long Qin smiled. Long Chen raised his head, rubbed Long Qin's head, and said with a smile, "You're quite smart this time." "When am I not smart?" Long Qin was dissatisfied. "Yes, yes, yes." Long Chen nodded repeatedly, and his face was full of doting. But then, he frowned. "What's wrong?" Long Qin was puzzled. "The idea is good, but how do we contact Father?" Long Chen frowned. "Isn't that simple? Although we can't contact him, Mother can." Long Qin said. "Mother?" Long Chen heard that, glanced at Qin Feiyang and the others, and said telepathically, with Mother's character, if she knows that it's because Qin Feiyang and the others need Father's help, she definitely won't help. So we can't let Mother know. We'll say that we miss Father and ask her to help us contact him. Long Qin smiled, and a sly look flashed in his eyes. Long Chen was stunned, and the look in his eyes became very strange. "What's wrong?" Long Qin looked at him in confusion. "You're lying to Mother." "Qin, you've never done this in the past, and it's for Qin Feiyang and the others." Long Chen said to himself. "Is that so?" Long Qin looked flustered and said with a smile, "Don't misunderstand, I just feel sorry for them." "Is that so?" Long Chen looked at him with a faint smile. "Yes. What else do you think? Let's talk about it later. If they become stronger, we'll be able to relax a lot, right?" Long Qin said. Long Chen shook his head and smiled. He rubbed Longqin's head again, and his face was full of relief. Perhaps even Longqin herself didn't realize that she was gradually changing. What are you doing? I'm not a kitten, why do you keep rubbing my head? Longqin slapped Long Chen's hand away and glared at him angrily. Long Chen laughed heartily and turned to look at Qin Feiyang. If you trust me, give me these 15 inheritances first. I'll try to find father and see if I can exchange them for the laws you need. You're treating me like an outsider. What's our relationship? How can I not trust you? Madman laughed, quickly closed the iron box, and pushed it all in front of Long Chen. Yes, yes, yes. We're all comrades who have gone through life and death together. If we don't even have the basic trust, are we still human? White-Eyed Wolf also nodded repeatedly. If it really worked, it would be a great help to them. I've never seen people turn hostile faster than you. Long Qin looked at him with disdain. Don't talk nonsense. When did we turn hostile? We've always treated you and your sister as companions. White-Eyed Wolf waved his hand and said unhappily. Longqin's mouth kept twitching. His skin was so thick that no one could compare to him. Long Chen's face was also full of a helpless smile. All right then, Qin and I will go back first. As for the matter of the king, we'll talk about it slowly after this matter is settled. If it really works, when we go to the Divine Kingdom in the future, I'll be the first to rush to the front. White-Eyed Wolf patted his chest. All right. Don't be so excited. Whether it works or not is another matter. Long Chen looked at White-Eyed Wolf speechlessly and was about to leave when he suddenly paused and looked at everyone. When the time comes, how do you plan to distribute these 15 inheritances? What inheritances do you need? Tell me first. If father agrees, I can tell him directly. I don't need to say anything. The law of destruction and the law of life. White-Eyed Wolf was the first to speak. However, Frenzied was in a dilemma. Yun Xiang, demon ancestor, and the others lowered their heads and remained silent. Why are you so impatient? Qin Feiyang stared at White-Eyed Wolf, then looked at demon ancestor and the others. Everyone who participated in this battle should have a share. White-Eyed Wolf looked up at Qin Feiyang. If everyone had a share, how many experts who could fuse with the will of the Great Path could be created? Mu Tianyang and Dong Zhengyang looked at each other with a trace of disappointment in their hearts. If only those who participated in the battle had a share, then the two of them definitely had no hope. Long Chen pondered for a moment, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said, Brother Qin, regarding what you said, I hold an objection this time. Qin Feiyang looked at Long Chen suspiciously. Although everyone has gone through life and death together and fought side by side this time, the current situation does not allow us to do so. We must pick out a few of the strongest people and let them grasp the ultimate mysteries of the 6 strongest laws and activate the will of the Great Path. Long Chen explained. I also agree. Since you, Qin Feiyang, can deal with the monarch, we can temporarily not consider it. As for the 2 overlords, the Divine King and the human race's Jizun, someone must restrain or even suppress them. Long Qin nodded. Who can suppress them? Zhuo Shaoxian asked. Let's talk about the Divine King first. Apart from Qin Feiyang, there is only one person who can contend with the Divine King's God race mark. Long Chen looked at everyone and said with a smile, I don't need to say more about this person. Everyone looked at Frenzied at the same time. That's right. Only Frenzied's origin of all evil could compete with the Divine King's God race mark. Even Long Chen's God's domain could not. Long Chen said, so, Frenzied must integrate with the will of the Great Path as soon as possible. I believe no one has any objections. No. Everyone shook their heads. Then let's talk about the Golden-Winged Wolf King. Everyone knows about his battle soul. As long as he is given time, he can even take away the monarch's cultivation, laws, and battle soul. So, he must integrate with the will of the Great Path as well. Long Chen said again. At least you have some eyesight and know how powerful this brother is. The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth. Long Chen shook his head and smiled, then looked at the demon ancestor. Why are you looking at me? I don't even have an ultimate mystery of the strongest law. The demon ancestor smiled bitterly. That's not important. What's important is that your eye of despair has evolved. At the beginning of the battle, if it wasn't for your eye of despair, we would all be finished. So, you must integrate with the will of the Great Path as soon as possible. However, you need too many inheritances. This will undoubtedly affect the interests of others. So, you have to get everyone's agreement. After Long Chen said that, he looked at Yun Xiang, the masked Shura, Qin Feiyang, the white-eyed wolf, and Frenzied. It doesn't matter. The white-eyed wolf shrugged his shoulders. Anyway, he didn't need many inheritances, just 2. He could distribute the rest as he pleased. Moreover, the current demon ancestor was reassuring. The power of the Eye of Despair is obvious to all. If the demon ancestor also had the ultimate mystery of the strongest law when he fought with Ryuko and the others, then it might have been a different outcome. So, I have no objections. Yun Xiang said. No. The masked Shura shook his head. Qin Feiyang and Frenzied looked at each other and smiled faintly, representing their attitude. Chapter 40-32. If there are no objections, then it's decided. The demon ancestor needs 6 inheritances, the golden-winged wolf king needs 2 inheritances, and the frenzied one needs 3 inheritances. That's a total of 11 inheritances, and there are 4 inheritances left. As for the remaining 4 inheritances, I suggest that we give them to Li Feng. After Long Chen finished speaking, he looked around and observed the changes in everyone's expression. Everyone seemed to be very surprised by his suggestion. Li Feng already has 1 ultimate law, and he's still short of 5. Even if we give him all 4 inheritances, he won't be able to grasp the will of the heavens. So I think it's better to give them to Yun Xiang. Yun Xiang already has 4 ultimate laws, and he's only short of 2. If we give them to him, he'll still have 2 more. Dong Zhengyang said. Long Chen smiled and said, so I've decided that I'll personally give Li Feng an inheritance for free. This way, he'll be able to grasp the will of the heavens. Of course, this way, Yun Xiang won't be able to get even a single inheritance. This seems a little unfair to him. Long Chen had his own selfish reasons for doing this. He wanted to use this opportunity to completely undo the knot in Li Feng's heart. I don't mind. And in terms of strength, Li Feng is indeed above me. Because his puppet true body can increase his battle strength by several times. When he integrates with the will of the heavens, I think it won't be a problem for him to deal with the human race's sovereign. Yun Xiang pondered for a moment and smiled. Thank you. Long Chen stood up and bowed. Yun Xiang waved his hand and smiled, although it doesn't matter to me, senior brother and Li Zhongxing's group also put their lives on the line in this battle. We can't forget their contributions. Don't mention me. As far as I'm concerned, I'm already very satisfied with just 1 ultimate law. The masked Azura said. Don't worry about old Li and the others. I will comfort them. Qin Feiyang smiled. Then, he looked at Long Chen and his sister and said, you 2 didn't even leave an inheritance for yourselves. Instead, you gave 1 to Li Feng for free. You even helped him find your father to exchange for the inheritance. How should we repay you in the future? Aren't you the same? From the beginning to the end, he didn't ask for any inheritance. Long Chen smiled faintly. Me? Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. I already have the life and death law's ultimate profundities, and I also have the will of the heavenly Tao. It would be a waste to have them. Waste? That's a pretty good excuse of yours. Long Chen did not know whether to laugh or cry. This was the first time he had heard that merging inheritances was a waste. After chatting for a while, he stood up and said with a smile, "All right, I'll go back first." "All right, all right, all right. I'm waiting for your good news." The white-eyed wolf waved his hand. The greater the expectation, the greater the disappointment. So, let's just be normal. Long Chen smiled and looked at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and Long Chen and his sister disappeared. "Do you think Ice Dragon will agree?" the frenzied one asked nervously. "If he doesn't agree, I'll pluck his hair." The white-eyed wolf snorted. Everyone was stunned. "If you really had the ability, why would you sit here and wait for the news? You would have taken the initiative to find Ice Dragon." As Long Chen said, "Let's just be normal." Qin Feiyang smiled and turned to Yun Xiang and the masked Azura. "If there's a chance in the future, I'll definitely help you." "What are you talking about?" Yun Xiang waved his hand and said with a smirk, "Actually, by agreeing to Long Chen, we've profited." "Profited?" The frenzied one was stunned. "That's right. He gave the inheritance to Li Feng because he felt guilty. If it was me, he wouldn't have given out an inheritance for free. Although I didn't get anything personally, from the collective benefits, we've earned an extra inheritance." Yun Xiang smirked. "That makes sense." The frenzied one nodded and grinned. "But I still admire you and you, Azura." However, the masked Azura only smiled coldly. Mu Tianyang looked at the demon ancestor with jealousy and said, "You've really profited this time. It's all thanks to everyone's care." The demon ancestor chuckled. Who wouldn't be happy to receive 6 inheritances at once? Mu Tianyang pursed his lips and raised his head to look at Qin Feiyang. "When our battle souls evolve in the future, you can't favor one and discriminate against the other." Qin Feiyang was stunned and shook his head. "This depends on luck because we won't be so lucky every time." "Too fake." Mu Tianyang looked at him with disdain. He was envious of the demon ancestor. He had obtained the inheritance of 6 ultimate laws and reached the heavens in one step. Dong Zhengyang took a sip of tea and rolled his eyes. "Look at how envious you are. Wait until Ice Dragon agrees, then you can be envious." "Heard about it." Mu Tianyang was slightly stunned and nodded. "True, Ice Dragon hasn't agreed yet." Qin Feiyang looked at everyone and then at the mermaid princess. He whispered, "Accompany me to find Li Zhongsheng and the others." "Okay." The mermaid princess nodded. "You guys chat." After Qin Feiyang said this, he pulled the mermaid princess and turned to walk towards a courtyard. After they left the tea garden, he asked, "You won't blame me, right?" "Blame you?" The mermaid princess looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "Are you talking to me? Is there anyone else here?" Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. "I don't think so." The mermaid princess looked around and shook her head. She said suspiciously, "I don't understand. Why should I blame you? You didn't do anything to let me down. 15 inheritances. I gave them all. I didn't give you any. I really feel that I've let you down." Qin Feiyang sighed. "So this is what you're talking about. Don't think so much. You have your own considerations. Moreover, Long Chen's suggestion is perfect. As for me, I've never thought about that. My biggest wish is that every time you go out to fight, you can return to my side safely. That's enough." The mermaid princess smiled gently. Qin Feiyang stopped and turned to look at the mermaid princess. Finally, he hugged her affectionately and said with a smile, "Being able to marry you is the luckiest thing in my life." The mermaid princess was stunned for a moment. Then, a sweet smile appeared on her face. "Thank you," Qin Feiyang said silently in his heart. Then, he pulled the mermaid princess and continued to walk toward the courtyard of Li Zhongsheng and the other two. "Have you noticed that Long Qin is a little different now?" the mermaid princess suddenly asked. "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. "It seems that the mediation of the demon ancestor worked. I really hope that you can maintain such a relationship in the future." The mermaid princess smiled. "We will." Qin Feiyang nodded. Dragon's Nest. Long Chen walked toward Long Zun's attic and said with a smile, "Qin, you have to cooperate with me later." "Why should I cooperate with you?" Long Qin snorted coldly. "So this is your idea?" Long Chen said. "I'm only in charge of digging holes, not burying them." Long Qin raised her head proudly. Seeing this, Long Chen could not help but laugh. Soon, the brother and sister came to the attic and saw Long Zun sitting on the balcony on the second floor. Ling Long was carefully serving her beside her. "Mother," Long Qin shouted and ran to the balcony. Long Chen also had a smile on his face as he landed opposite Long Zun. Long Zun's face was extremely calm when she saw that the brother and sister had returned safely. Long Qin looked at Long Zun and said unhappily, "Mother, you're too calm. Aren't you afraid that we'll die in the Western continent?" Long Zun looked up at Long Qin and shook her head with a smile. "We're not dead yet, are we?" Long Qin was stunned. She was not worried about her at all. Was she really adopted? "You've misunderstood Master Long Zun. Actually, she was very worried about you, especially when you were fighting with the Divine Kingdom. She had been praying in her heart. But not long ago, we received news that you won a great victory and that the people of the Divine Kingdom had left, so she was relieved." Ling Long said with a smile. "You talk too much." Long Zun glared at her. Ling Long giggled and even made a face. She was no longer afraid of Long Zun. "I see." News spread really fast. Long Qin suddenly realized. He walked up to Long Zun and said with a smile, "I knew it. You didn't adopt me." "Adopt me? What do you mean?" Long Zun looked at Long Qin in a daze. "Ahem." Long Chen coughed and quickly changed the topic. "Mother, did father come to look for you?" "No." Long Zun's face suddenly turned cold. She looked up at the brother and sister and said angrily, "And you too, don't laugh at me." The brother and sister looked at Long Zun in shock. What was going on? "You two are amazing. You actually risked your life to protect Qin Feiyang. It seems that you have forgotten how he slaughtered our dragons back then." Long Zun said angrily. "You know about this too?" Long Qin looked surprised. "This matter is no longer a secret. It has spread throughout the Sky Cloud realm. And Qin Feiyang comprehended the ultimate meaning of the law of life and death and defeated the monarch. Everyone knows about it." Ling Long said. Long Qin turned to look at Long Chen. "It should be the news that Feather Emperor and the others spread." Long Chen smiled bitterly. "Then, is this true or not?" Long Zun looked at the two with a face full of anger. Long Qin didn't dare to speak. Long Chen didn't have any fear. She nodded and said, "It's true." "Bastard." Long Zun slammed her palm on the tea table, shattering it on the spot. Although the Eastern Continent, Southern Continent, and Northern Continent were discussing this matter, she still had a trace of hope that it might just be rumors. So, she had been suppressing the anger in her heart. But she never thought that it would be true. So, her anger erupted. "Mother, I know you hate Qin Feiyang and the others, but now that we are facing the Divine Kingdom, we can't do without them. Take this time for example. If Qin Feiyang hadn't comprehended the ultimate meaning of the law of life and death, no one would have been able to defeat the monarch. Long Chen hurriedly explained. But you are not allowed to help him. You still want to risk your lives for him? Are your lives so worthless? Long Zun shouted angrily. Mother, don't you understand? I am not helping him. I am helping the Sky Cloud Realm and the billions of living beings in the Sky Cloud Realm. Long Chen sighed. How could she eliminate the hatred in her mother's heart? Chapter 40-33. Yes, Mother. If we don't help Qin Feiyang, then Qin Feiyang and the others will die. Long Qin also plucked up the courage to argue with Longzuan. But before she finished, Longzuan was burning with anger and shouted, "What does their death have to do with you?" Of course it does. If they die, do you think the Divine Kingdom will let us go? In the current situation, no matter how deep the hatred is, we have to let go. Long Qin sighed. Damn girl, you're all grown up, aren't you? You even dare to talk back to me. Longzuan's face darkened, and he glared at Long Qin. Why did he feel that this daughter was a little different from before? Because in the past, when facing Qin Feiyang and the others, Long Qin stood with her, but this time she stood with Long Chen. I didn't. Long Qin lowered her head. She couldn't go back on her words. Before the battle with Li Feng, they had already agreed. If she defeated Li Feng, the grudge would be written off. If Li Feng defeated her, then she would kneel down and apologize to Li Feng on behalf of her mother. In the end, she was the winner. Naturally, the grudge would be written off. In fact, what really made her let go of her hatred was Long Chen's kneeling. Long Chen's kneeling made her feel deeply. They had already agreed that as long as she won this battle, no matter how unwilling Li Feng was, he could only give up. In other words, Long Chen's kneeling was completely unnecessary. But in the end, Long Chen still knelt down and apologized. This was enough to show his inner thoughts and persistence. It was also because of Long Chen's persistence that Long Qin chose to let go of her hatred. No? Then why are you still speaking for your brother? Longzuan said angrily. Your daughter is being reasonable. Long Qin lowered her head and muttered. According to you, I'm unreasonable? Longzuan was very angry. No, no. Long Qin quickly waved his hand and looked at Long Chen for help. After letting go of her hatred, she finally felt the same way. Every time they talked about Qin Feiyang and the others, Big Brother was under a lot of pressure. But this pressure was not brought by Qin Feiyang, but by his mother. Long Chen pondered for a while and said helplessly, Mother, things have already turned out this way. It's useless to blame us. Why don't you let it go? You'll feel better. I'm in a bad mood. Longzuan coldly snorted. Then what should I do to make you feel better? Do you want to beat me up? Long Chen looked at Linglong and said, Go and find a stick. As long as it can appease my mother, she can beat me however she wants. This, Linglong looked at Long Chen and his sister, then at Long Zun with an anxious expression. She really wanted to persuade Long Zun. That was because she did not feel any hatred toward Qin Feiyang. On the contrary, there was a trace of gratitude. Because back then in the Tianzhong Divine Treasure, Qin Feiyang didn't make things difficult for her father. He also didn't take away the sovereign divine weapon of the Silver Dragon clan. However, she wasn't Long Chen, nor was she Long Qin. She didn't have the guts to speak to Long Zun. You think I don't dare to beat you? Long Zun looked at Long Chen. It's natural for a mother to beat her son. Long Chen smiled. Long Zun was furious and shouted, Linglong, didn't you hear? Go. Okay. Linglong nodded and quickly turned to run down to the attic below. In the end, she only found a small tree branch after searching for a long time. Looking at the small tree branch that was not even as thick as a little finger, Long Zun's face suddenly darkened. He glared at Linglong angrily. Are you deliberately angering me? I'm not. Linglong hurriedly shook her head. Long Chen and Long Qin couldn't help but secretly laugh when they saw this scene. This small tree branch was more like used to drive away mosquitoes. Looking at the innocent Linglong and Long Chen and his sister who were snickering next to her, Long Zun was so angry that he almost went crazy. He waved his hand and said, "Get out, don't let me see it. It's annoying. Thank you for your forgiveness, Mother. I knew it. Mother is the most understanding." Long Qin ran up and hugged Long Zun's arm with a mischievous smile on his face. Seeing this, Long Zun felt helpless. Linglong asked carefully, "Lord Long Zun, where is this stick? Do you call this a stick?" Long Zun glared at her angrily. Linglong laughed dryly and immediately threw the small tree branch down from the balcony. Alas! Long Zun sighed and looked at Long Chen and his sister. "I hope you don't forget that we have a feud with Qin Feiyang." Mother, hearing this, Long Qin immediately wanted to say something. But he was stopped by Long Chen in time. At this time, they couldn't mention reconciliation. Otherwise, not to mention helping to contact their father, they would probably be driven away on the spot. "Go, I want to rest alone." Long Zun waved his hand. Long Qin didn't let go. Long Chen didn't move either. "What? Do you really want to be beaten?" Long Zun looked at the brother and sister. "No. We miss our father a little, so we want to see him." Long Qin shook his head. "Miss him?" Long Zun raised his eyebrows and said angrily, "He doesn't even come to see you. What else is there to miss?" "Mother, we are his children. Isn't it normal for children to miss their father? Please help to contact him, I beg you." Long Qin used his unique skill, acting like a spoiled child. Long Zun looked at Long Qin and Long Chen, his face full of anger. "What a heartless white-eyed wolf. I worked so hard to bring you up, but I didn't see you say you miss me." "Yes, yes, yes. Every mother is the greatest person in the world." Long Qin nodded. "Damn girl, you only know how to pick up nice words." Long Zun rolled his eyes and said, "But let's make a deal. When you contact him later, you can talk to them. I don't want to see him." Long Qin and Long Chen looked at each other. Wasn't this what they wanted? They had been thinking about how to send their mother away when they contacted their father. Because if Long Zun was here, they couldn't say anything. Previously, when they helped Qin Feiyang to pass the tribulation, Long Zun was already furious. If Long Zun knew that they were looking for their father to help Qin Feiyang and the others exchange for the law inheritance, wouldn't she fall out with them on the spot? Falling out with them was still a light matter. She might even sever their relationship as mother and daughter in a fit of anger. But they didn't expect Long Zun to take the initiative to mention it. This saved them a lot of trouble. However, they still had to put on an act. Long Qin asked, "Mother, do you dislike father that much?" Although it was just an act, it was what she really wanted to ask. Long Zun glared at her and didn't answer. She took out the divine sound transmission stone and said, "If he isn't in the sky cloud realm now, then I can't contact him, so don't have too much hope." "Okay." The brother and sister nodded. They thought. It hadn't been long since the end of the battle. He should still be in the sky cloud realm. With the recovery of the divine sound transmission stone, rays of divine light bloomed. The brother and sister both looked at the divine sound transmission stone nervously and expectantly. Long Zun didn't suspect anything. She only thought that they were nervous and expectant before seeing their father. But she didn't know that the brother and sister were nervous and expectant about exchanging the inheritance. Time passed breath by breath. After a while, Ice Dragon didn't respond. Could it be that he has already left the Sky Cloud realm? The brother and sister suddenly became a little flustered. If he had really left the Sky Cloud realm, then how could they exchange for the inheritance if they couldn't contact him? Long Zun also frowned and scolded, "I've never seen such an irresponsible man." Then she looked at the Longchen siblings and sighed, "As you can see, we can't contact him." The brother and sister were helpless. But just as Long Zun was about to turn off the divine sound transmission stone, a figure quickly appeared. Who else could it be but Ice Dragon? "What's wrong?" Ice Dragon looked at Long Zun and asked. His expression wasn't cold, but there was also no gentleness between husband and wife. It was as if he was looking at a familiar stranger. "I'm not looking for you." Long Zun coldly snorted and handed the divine sound transmission stone to Long Chen. Long Chen quickly caught it. Long Zun looked at Ice Dragon and said, "Ling Long, accompany me for a walk." "Okay." Ling Long nodded and followed Long Zun downstairs and walked along the stream. "What do you want, kid?" Ice Dragon looked at Long Chen suspiciously. "Me too." Long Qin ran to Long Chen's side. "Qin, Ice Dragon was stunned and looked even more puzzled. Didn't they just meet in the Western continent? Why did he contact him again? Wait a moment. Long Chen waved his hand. After Ling Long and Long Zun were far away, he looked at Ice Dragon and said, "Father, long story short, we have something that we need your help with." "So you were deliberately waiting for your mother to leave?" Ice Dragon nodded and asked, "What you want to talk about is related to Qin Feiyang and the others, right?" "How did you know?" Long Qin was surprised. "Otherwise, why did you wait until your mother left before you dared to talk about it?" Ice Dragon said. "Father is smart." Long Qin smiled. Ice Dragon shook his head helplessly and said with a smile, "Tell me, what is it?" "It's like this." Long Chen briefly explained that the Divine Kingdom had given them 15 ultimate inheritances of the Law of Death. "What? All of them are ultimate inheritances of the Law of Death?" Ice Dragon was stunned. "Yes." Long Qin nodded and snorted, "Don't you think they are abominable? They are indeed a little unethical. However, there's no way to settle the score with them. After all, they did give you 15 ultimate inheritances of the Law of Death." Ice Dragon frowned. "It's definitely impossible to settle the score with them. Therefore, we would like to ask for your help. You must have a lot of inheritances in your hands. Otherwise, you wouldn't have given my mother so many back then. Therefore, we want to ask if we can use these 15 inheritances to exchange with you." Long Chen asked with a smile, his expression full of anticipation. "Exchange?" Ice Dragon was stunned. "In other words, we will use our 15 inheritances to exchange for other inheritances that everyone needs. In this way, we will be able to create several experts who can activate the will of heaven." Long Chen explained. "There's no need to explain so clearly. I know what you mean. However, I am a little puzzled. Why would you help them to such an extent?" "Long Chen, you brat. Let's not talk about this first. I know your character. It's not surprising that you would do this. However, little girl, I don't understand you. All this time, haven't you always hated them? Especially Qin Feiyang, Golden Wing Wolf King, and Lunatic. Every time you mention them, you would gnash your teeth in hatred. Why would you help them now?" Ice Dragon looked at Long Qin from head to toe. Could it be that this daughter of his had been possessed? Chapter 40-34. Father, stop your imagination. Looking at Ice Dragon's eyes, one could tell that he must be imagining things. Ice Dragon chuckled, looked at the siblings, and said, "I don't have a nomological inheritance now, but with your father's ability, it's only a matter of minutes for me to find a dozen nomological inheritances. However, you have to give me a reason to convince me." The siblings were overjoyed. Long Chen smiled. "Father, to be honest, Qin was the one who suggested it first." "Huh?" Ice Dragon looked at Long Qin in surprise again. "Is she really his daughter? Why does she look more and more different? There's something you don't know. After you left, Qin and Li Feng had a fight." Long Chen quickly explained the situation at that time. "I see." Ice Dragon suddenly understood and looked at Long Qin with a smile. "Have you really let it go?" Long Qin pondered for a while and nodded. "Yes, Big Brother was right. Life is long, there's no need to be trapped in the past." "I'm glad that you think so." Ice Dragon nodded with a smile, then sighed. "How good would it be if your mother could think so? Then I'm afraid it's a little difficult." Long Chen shook his head. "You have to face it even if it's difficult. Because it's your responsibility as children. Since Qin suggested it, I naturally can't refuse, because I can't let Qin Feiyang and the others see my daughter as a joke." Ice Dragon chuckled. "Really?" Long Qin looked at Ice Dragon in disbelief. He thought it would take a lot of persuasion, but he didn't expect him to agree so easily. "Yes." Ice Dragon nodded. "Thank you, Father." Long Qin was overjoyed. Long Chen was the same. He didn't expect it to go so smoothly. Of course. It's not that easy for them to get the law inheritance. Ice Dragon's eyes flashed with a hint of ridicule. "What do you mean?" The siblings were stunned. "Don't worry, you'll know later. Tell me, what kind of inheritance do they need?" Ice Dragon gave an enigmatic smile. Long Chen nodded and said, "The Golden-Winged Wolf King wants the inheritance of the laws of destruction and the laws of life." After Long Chen finished speaking, Ice Dragon nodded and said, "No problem." Long Chen asked, "Where should we meet later?" "Let's do it where we're talking. I'll look for you guys later." After the Ice Dragon finished speaking, the shadow quickly disappeared. Long Qin turned to Long Chen and asked, "Brother, what does father mean?" "How would I know?" Long Chen smiled bitterly. But what was certain was that it was definitely not a good thing. Immediately after, the two of them went downstairs and followed the stream to find Long Zun and Ling Long. "Are you done?" Long Zun glanced at the two. "Yes." Long Chen nodded and handed the divine sound transmission stone to Long Zun. Long Zun took the divine sound transmission stone and pondered for a moment before asking, "Did he mention me?" The brother and sister looked at each other and nodded, "Yes." "Don't lie to me. I watched you guys grow up. I know what you guys are thinking with just a look." Long Zun glared at the two of them and lowered her head to look at the stream. Her eyes were filled with anger. Not to mention their relationship, they weren't even willing to mention it. What kind of husband and wife were they? Sigh. Long Chen sighed and looked at Long Zun. "Mother, give me the inheritance of the ultimate profound meaning of the laws of time." "You want the inheritance?" Long Zun was stunned. "Yes." Long Chen nodded. Actually, he wanted it for Li Feng. However, if he said it out loud, Long Zun would definitely not give it to him, so he could only pretend that he wanted it for himself. "Didn't you not want to fuse with the inheritance?" Long Zun was suspicious. "The situation is different now. The strength of the divine kingdom is too strong. If I rely on myself to comprehend it, I don't know how long it will take." Long Chen shook his head and sighed. "You should have thought like that long ago. Otherwise, you would have already mastered 6 ultimate profound meanings now." Long Zun was very pleased. She immediately took out an inheritance and handed it to Long Chen. After thinking for a while, she said, "Why don't I give it all to you now?" "Not for now. I will ask you for it after I fuse with it. Long Chen took the inheritance and smiled. All right. I am really worried about leaving it with you. What if one day you become a good person and give it to Qin Feiyang and the others? Long Zun nodded. Cough cough. Long Chen suddenly coughed dryly. What's wrong? Long Zun looked at him suspiciously. Nothing. It's just that my throat is a little uncomfortable. Long Chen hurriedly waved his hand guiltily. He looked at Long Qin and said, Qin, let's go. Okay. Long Qin nodded. Where are you going? Long Zun quickly asked. To take a look at the situation in the eastern, northern, and southern continents. Long Chen said without looking back. Then, he quickly left with Long Qin. That scared me to death. I almost exposed myself. Long Qin patted her towering chest. Yes. I also didn't expect Mother to suddenly say such a thing. Long Chen shook his head and smiled bitterly. In front of the stream. Long Zun looked at the backs of the siblings and said, Ling Long, do you feel that they are hiding something from me? Is there? Ling Long was stunned. She shook her head and said, I don't think so. Sir, don't think so much. They are not young anymore. They have their own judgment. You don't understand. I am afraid that they will be taken advantage of. Because I know Qin Feiyang and the others too well. None of them are easy to deal with. When the time comes and we sell the two of them, we might have to help count the money. Long Zun shook his head. He was very worried. Ling Long's eyes flashed slightly. She smiled and said, Qin Feiyang is very shrewd, but young Master Long Chen is not bad either. It won't happen. I hope so. Long Zun nodded. He looked at Ling Long and said, Since you have already announced to Madman and the others that you are my adopted daughter, then you will truly be my adopted daughter from now on. Ling Long looked at Long Zun in astonishment. After spending some time together, I found that you are indeed a good child. Long Zun smiled. Seeing that Ling Long was silent, he asked, Why? Are you unwilling? I am willing. Ling Long came back to her senses and immediately knelt on the ground. She said respectfully, Ling Long greets sir, Long Zun raised his eyebrows. No. Ling Long quickly corrected herself. Ling Long greets mother. Hearing this, Long Zun's brows immediately relaxed. He smiled and said, Don't call Chen, and Qin, young master and young mistress anymore. Just call them brother and sister. Okay. Ling Long nodded. Since we are already a family, then you have to help me keep an eye on the two of them in the future. If they do anything out of line, you must tell me immediately. Long Zun instructed. Okay. Ling Long replied respectfully. Western Continent. In less than half an hour. Ice Dragon appeared. Long Chen and his sister immediately went up to greet him. What about the 15 inheritances? Ice Dragon asked. Long Chen waved his hand, and 15 iron boxes appeared. Ice Dragon said in surprise, Qin Feiyang and the others are actually assured to give you 15 ultimate inheritances? Our trust in each other now is beyond your imagination. Long Chen chuckled. This is not bad. Ice Dragon nodded. He was very clear about the foundation of the Divine Kingdom. If the Sky Cloud Realm did not unite, they would not be able to fight against them. Father, what about the inheritances we need? Long Qin asked a little anxiously. Ice Dragon turned his head to look at Long Qin and suddenly asked a question that caught Long Qin off guard. Did you meet someone you like? Huh? Long Qin looked at Ice Dragon. What is this? If you didn't meet someone you like, would you help them like this? Ice Dragon chuckled. The corner of Long Qin's mouth twitched. Sure enough, his imagination is amazing. If you meet someone you like, you must treat them sincerely. Ice Dragon stretched out his hand and rubbed Long Qin's head. Then, with a wave of his hand, 15 iron boxes appeared. The iron boxes were not opened, but one could clearly feel the aura of the laws. There was the destruction law, the life law, the death law, and so on. Don't we have the death law here? Why did you give us the death law? Long Chen was suspicious. Both Ancestor Mo and Li Feng needed an ultimate meaning of the death law, so they only needed to exchange for 13 inheritances. But now, Ice Dragon took out 15 iron boxes. Was he planning to give them 2 as a gift? It's different. Ice Dragon shook his head and smiled. Long Chen and Long Qin looked at each other. Aren't they all inheritances? What's different about them? Ice Dragon God smiled secretly and said, "Open the iron boxes and take a look." Long Chen grabbed an iron box that contained the Death Law inheritance and opened the lid, but found that the lid was unmoved. What's going on? Immediately. He couldn't help but be stunned. He used more strength, but found that the iron box still couldn't be opened. Ice Dragon smiled but didn't say anything. Seeing this, Long Qin couldn't help but try. He used all his strength, but the iron box still couldn't be opened. Father, you, the brother and sister looked at Ice Dragon in shock. There's a seal on it. If you want to get the inheritance inside, you must first unlock the seal on it. Ice Dragon said. Seal? The brother and sister were stunned. They released their divine sense and shrouded the iron box. Sure enough, they found a layer of seal. Then they looked at the other 14 iron boxes. Every iron box had a seal. Father, what does this mean? Long Chen retracted his divine sense and asked suspiciously. It's very simple. If they want to get the inheritance, they must first unlock the seal. And the way to unlock the seal is to kill the heavens chosen of the divine kingdom. Ice Dragon said. Kill the heavens chosen of the divine kingdom? The brother and sister exchanged glances. That's right. You'll be in charge of supervising them. Every time they kill a heavens chosen, help them unlock the seal on a box. And the only way to unlock the seal is to use your blood essence. Ice Dragon smiled. This, Long Chen's mouth twitched. He smiled bitterly and said, Isn't this a bit unfair? Who says it's unfair? I agree with Father's approach. After all, there's no such thing as a free lunch in this world. Long Qin nodded, his expression showing a bit of excitement. Long Chen was speechless. He said it so righteously, thinking that everyone didn't know. He just wanted to use this opportunity to torture White-Eyed Wolf and the others. Qin is right. There's no such thing as a free lunch. If you want to get benefits, you must rely on your own efforts. Besides, killing the heavens chosen of the divine kingdom is also training them. Ice Dragon smiled faintly. Chapter 40-35. Yes, yes, yes. Long Qin nodded and looked at Long Chen with a threatening look in his eyes. Father has given a lot of thought. You can't go against him. Long Chen smiled bitterly. Long Qin looked at Long Chen and said, Also, you can't help them break the seal in private. Otherwise, I'll ask Father to take back these inheritances. That's for sure. You can't hide it. And the heaven's pride that you kill must be a monster like Jiang Yunshuang. You can't just make up the numbers. You have to kill them completely. One more thing. You can't help others. You have to do it with your own strength. Ice Dragon said. By killing them completely, he meant that they had to be completely killed. They couldn't leave behind a soul that would jump out after a period of time. Okay. I'll listen to you. The father and daughter echoed each other, making Long Chen feel powerless. Then, he put away the 15 iron boxes and took out the divine sound transmission stone. Father, let's establish a contract bridge so that we don't have to get Mother's permission every time we look for you. If I'm not in the sky cloud realm, you can't contact me. There's no need for that. Ice Dragon said. What if you're in the sky cloud realm? Long Chen asked. Ice Dragon pondered for a while and nodded. Okay, as father and daughter, it's a bit of a joke if we don't establish a contract bridge. Then, he took out the divine sound transmission stone. After establishing the contract bridge, Ice Dragon pondered for a while and took out 2 palm-sized white tokens. He then refined 2 drops of blood essence and fused them with the tokens. Then, he handed the 2 tokens to the brother and sister and said with a smile, "You can take this too. When you're in danger, crush the token. No matter where I am, you'll be able to sense it." That's even better. Long Chen immediately took the token happily. The moment Long Chen grabbed the token, a warm current rose in his heart. His father still cared about them. Then that's it. You can do it. Ice Dragon looked at the 2 of them and smiled encouragingly. Then, he put away the 15 ultimate inheritances of the law of death, turned around, took a step, and instantly disappeared into the void. Are you happy now? If they want to obtain these inheritances, they will have to curry favor with you first. Long Chen put away the token and the divine sound transmission stone. He looked at Long Chen and shook his head with a smile. I've helped them so much. Shouldn't they try to please me? Long Chen smiled proudly. Long Chen shook his head and smiled. Then let's go to the Shen family village and tell them the good news. Very soon. The brother and sister arrived in the sky above the Shen family village. Black Tortoise World. Seeing the 2 of them appear, Madman and the others immediately stood up and looked at the 2 of them with apprehension in their eyes. Sigh. Long Chen looked at the group of people and sighed. He didn't agree. Seeing this, everyone looked disappointed. Long Chen also played along under Long Chen's threat. He sighed and said, "We've already tried our best, but, Sai, I'm really sorry. I'm fine." Qin Feiyang waved his hand. White-Eyed Wolf looked at the 2 of them and asked, "Can't we discuss it again?" We almost knelt down and begged. Long Chen sat on the stone bench and kept shaking his head and sighing. White-Eyed Wolf was also disappointed. He sat on the stone bench dejectedly. Madman and Demon Ancestor also had a look of regret. Don't be like this. Ice Dragon has no obligation to help us. Let's just accept it. Qin Feiyang looked at the 3 of them and comforted them. What else can we do? We can't just rob them. We don't have the strength. Madman shook his head. But in his heart, he was really disappointed. Long Chen looked at the depressed expressions of the group of people and suddenly laughed. I'm just teasing you. Father agreed, and the inheritance has already been exchanged. What? The group of people immediately looked up at Long Chen. Qin Feiyang was also surprised. Long Chen smiled faintly. With a wave of his hand, 15 iron boxes appeared and were neatly placed on the stone table. The group of people immediately looked at the iron boxes. The size was about the same, but the shape and pattern of the iron boxes had obviously changed. And without using divine sense, they could clearly sense the aura of the inheritance. Are you surprised? Long Chen looked at White-Eyed Wolf and the others jokingly. What a surprise. White-Eyed Wolf jumped up and hugged Long Chen. He said excitedly, thank you, thank you. This sudden scene made Long Chen's cheeks blush. Qin Feiyang and the others also immediately looked at the 2 of them with a playful expression. Cough cough. Fire Dance next to him was also stunned. When she came back to her senses, she coughed hard. Immediately. White-eyed Wolf quivered and hurriedly let go of Long Qin. He turned to look at Fire Dance and said, "That. Sister Phoenix, don't take it the wrong way. I'm purely grateful, I can understand." Fire Dance nodded and gritted her teeth. White-eyed Wolf looked at this scene and couldn't help but feel his scalp go numb. "That, Brother Wolf, quickly open it." Lunatic changed the topic. Otherwise, Brother Wolf would be in trouble again. "Okay." White-eyed Wolf nodded and immediately grabbed an iron box. But the next moment, he was dumbfounded and couldn't open it. "What's the situation?" The others also grabbed an iron box, but no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't open the iron box in their hands. Immediately after, the group of people looked at Long Chen and his sister. "Don't look at me. Let Qin speak." Long Chen drank his tea. In an instant, everyone's eyes fell on Long Qin. "This is not my problem. It's father's idea." Long Qin immediately explained the conditions of the ice dragon to him. White-eyed Wolf and the others looked at each other. Wasn't this making things difficult for them? It was easy to kill these sky prides, but every time they came to the sky cloud realm, they would leave their souls in the divine kingdom. It was useless to kill them. "It's indeed easy for you, but for me, this is a very difficult task." Looking at White-eyed Wolf and Lunatic, the demon ancestor smiled bitterly. "What's so difficult about you?" White-eyed Wolf was puzzled. "Didn't you hear what Long Qin said? No help from others. You can only do it yourself." The demon ancestor smiled bitterly. "With our strength, of course, we don't need help from others. Besides, in the face of Ryuko and the others, no one can help us except Feather Emperor." White-eyed Wolf said. "That's not what I mean. My father means that you have to kill the sky prides of the divine kingdom by yourself. For example, the demon ancestor. If he wants these inheritances, he has to rely on his own strength to kill the sky prides. We, including you, can't help him." Long Qin explained. "So that's how it is." White-eyed Wolf suddenly understood. Looking at the demon ancestor, he grinned and said, "That's indeed quite difficult. With the eye of despair, it's not like there's no hope. We just need to find a good opportunity to kill him in one blow." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. "Yes." The demon ancestor nodded. White-eyed Wolf rolled his eyes and looked at Long Qin, saying, "Can't we discuss it? Let's integrate these inheritances first and then kill the sky prides of the divine kingdom?" "Absolutely not. It's already not easy for my father to agree to exchange these laws for you. And my father also said that if you dare to cheat, he will take back these inheritances directly." Long Qin shook his head. White-eyed Wolf looked at Long Chen again. Long Chen had always been easy to talk to. Long Chen took a sip of tea and looked up at White-eyed Wolf's longing eyes. He shook his head and smiled, saying, "This time, I really can't help you. Qin has full authority. I don't believe that I can't open this broken box without your blood essence." White-eyed Wolf's temper rose. He took out the crimson dragon shield and smashed it at the iron box. With a clang, the iron box didn't show any signs of breaking. "It's so hard." White-eyed Wolf activated various laws and crazily rushed toward the iron box, but it was useless against the seal on it. "Save it. Do you think you can shake the seal set by my father?" Long Qin looked down on him. White-eyed Wolf's temper was completely gone. He looked at Long Qin and said, "Let's discuss it." "No means no." Long Qin turned his head away. "Do you believe that I won't beat you up?" White-eyed Wolf raised his eyebrows. "Come on." Long Qin was not afraid at all. Instead, he looked provocative. White-eyed Wolf glared at her for a moment and finally gave up. This woman, he couldn't offend her now. But suddenly, He rolled his eyes and transmitted his voice, "Demon ancestor, you look quite handsome. Why don't you sacrifice your looks?" Demon ancestor's face suddenly darkened. What kind of rotten idea was this? At the same time, Longqin's forehead was also bulging with veins, and he said angrily, "Damn wolf cub, what are you muttering about? Don't you want these inheritances anymore?" Huh? White-eyed Wolf quickly looked at Longqin and found that Longqin's eyes were faintly glowing. He immediately realized that something was wrong and said, "Woman, what's wrong with you? Why do you like to eavesdrop on other people's conversations so much? You're reprimanding me?" Longqin was stunned and sneered, "I think you really don't want it anymore." After that, he got up and grabbed the 15 iron boxes. White-eyed Wolf saw that the situation was not good and immediately rushed up, protecting all the iron boxes in his arms, and smiled apologetically, let's talk nicely." Qin Feiyang and the others had a suspicious look on their faces as they watched the two of them arguing endlessly. What did White-eyed Wolf say to Demon Ancestor? Why was Longqin so angry? Apologize. Longqin stared at White-eyed Wolf. Okay. I apologize. I'm sorry. White-eyed Wolf gave in. He had to. Whether he could get these inheritances now depended on this woman's mood. If she was not in a good mood, even if they successfully killed the heavenly son of the divine kingdom and did not help them unlock the seal, they could only stare at her helplessly. After all, Longqin had already said that he would give full authority to Longqin. That's more like it. Longqin smiled with satisfaction, returned to his seat, and said, "Instead of wasting time here, it's better to think of a way to kill the heavenly son of the divine kingdom." Yes. I agree. White-eyed Wolf nodded, looked at Demon Ancestor and Lunatic, and said, "Then let's think about it." What's there to think about? If we want to kill them completely, we have to enter the divine kingdom. Lunatic rubbed his forehead. Not only do we have to enter the divine kingdom, but we also have to kill our way to their nest. Because their divine souls will definitely be left in their nest. And whether it's Ryuko or Jiang Yunshuang, they all have extraordinary status in the divine kingdom. The divine souls they leave behind will definitely be carefully protected by the monarch, the divine king, and the human sovereign. In other words, if we want to kill them completely, we have to face the experts of the older generation of the divine kingdom. It seems very simple, but after careful analysis, you will find that when it comes to actually taking action, it's harder than ascending to the sky. Demon Ancestor shook his head and said helplessly. With his current strength, he had to find an opportunity to face people like Ryuko, let alone the older generation of the divine kingdom. Chapter 40-36. It's a bit difficult, but as long as we work hard, it's not impossible. Moreover, Ice Dragon only said that we have to rely on our own strength to kill the prodigies of the divine kingdom. He didn't say that we can't attack others. Qin Feiyang was deep in thought. That's right. If the older generation of the divine kingdom is alarmed, we can restrain them, and you can fight the prodigies of the divine kingdom without worry. Yun Xiang nodded. Thanks. Not only did you not blame us for not giving you the inheritance, but you also spent so much effort to help us. Madman looked at Yun Xiang with a trace of gratitude. Yun Xiang was stunned and said with a dark face, "If you say that again, I'll really get angry. We've all gone through life and death together. Is there still a need to distinguish between you and me?" Madman laughed dryly. "Let's talk about it later. Actually, I've always felt guilty about Qin Feiyang and Qin Batian." Yun Xiang sighed. Guilty? Qin Feiyang was stunned. That's right. Although I haven't seen Qin Batian yet, I know that Qin Batian is Master's biological son. You're also Master's descendant. But now, Master has given me all three ultimate mysteries of her strongest laws. As master's child and descendant, you and Qin Badian didn't get a single ultimate mystery. So I've always felt that I owe you. Yun Xiang sighed. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, this is the ancestor's choice. I don't think that not only me, but also the ancestor will not care about this. It's because you're so magnanimous that I feel especially guilty. Yun Xiang shook his head. As you said, we're all on the same side. It's okay. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, looked at everyone, and said with a smile, in that case, we still have to go to the Divine Kingdom. Definitely. 15 ultimate profundity inheritances are right in front of me. I can't just stand there and watch. White-eyed Wolf glanced at Long Qin. This woman must be deliberately making things difficult for them. We have to go to the Divine Kingdom, but we have to make a plan. It would be best if we could sneak in without anyone noticing. The enemy is in the open, while we are in the dark. That would make it easier for them to kill the geniuses. Long Chen smiled faintly and took out the inheritance he got from Long Zun. He handed it to Qin Feiyang and said, help us pass this to Li Feng. He's really giving it to me? Qin Feiyang was taken aback. A gentleman never goes back on his word. Of course I have to keep my promise. Long Chen smiled. All right. Qin Feiyang took the inheritance and said with a smile, I'll thank you on behalf of Li Feng. Long Chen waved his hand and asked, do Li Zhongsheng and the other two have any objections? I've already talked to them. Although the inheritance is very tempting to them, they also agree with your suggestion. Let the stronger ones grasp the will of the heavenly Tao first. Qin Feiyang smiled. Long Chen shook his head and sighed, I really envy you. Everyone around you is so reasonable. Qin Feiyang heard this and felt that Long Chen seemed to be implying something. He asked suspiciously, is there something bothering you? Yes. Long Chen nodded and looked at the demon ancestor, Dong Zhengyang, Mu Tianyang, and the mermaid princess. He smiled and said, why don't you all leave for a while? I have some private matters to discuss with Brother Qin, Brother Mo, and Wolf King. Okay. Everyone looked at each other. They were quite tactful and immediately stood up. Long Chen turned to look at Long Qin and said with a smile, Qin, you should go take a look too. Not going. What are you trying to hide? No way. Long Qin shook his head. Be obedient. Aren't you curious about the Black Tortoise realm? Long Chen chuckled. What's there to be curious about? Long Qin was disdainful. Anyway, he just wouldn't leave. It was useless to chase him away. Long Chen's face was full of helplessness. After a moment of silence, he shook his head and said, forget it. Anyway, you will know about these things sooner or later. At this moment, the demon ancestor, mermaid princess, and the others had already left. Long Chen put down the teacup in his hand, looked up at Qin Feiyang and said, back then, how much do you know about Yi Zhong and my mother? Huh? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Why did he suddenly ask about this? Long Chen said, tell me the truth. Was my mother using Yi Zhong back then? This, Qin Feiyang, White-Eyed Wolf, and Frenzy looked at each other. No matter how they looked at it, it was still a question of death. After pondering for a long time, Qin Feiyang nodded and said, yes, from the beginning, your mother was using Master's feelings for her. She never really loved him. As expected. Long Chen smiled bitterly and shook his head. When Father told me about this, I still couldn't believe it. When did Father tell you these things? Long Qin was suspicious. After the battle, when I left with him alone, he opened his heart and told me a lot of things, including the situation between him and Mother. Long Chen sighed. Then what happened between Father and Mother? Long Qin frowned. Father said. Long Chen looked at his sister and sighed. What I'm going to say next may be cruel to you, but since you want to know, I'll tell you. In fact, Mother never really liked Father. The reason why she married Father was that she valued Father's strength. Long Qin's expression froze when she heard this. She shook her head and said, I don't believe it. I can understand. But this is the truth. This is also the reason why Father was unwilling to be with Mother. Father even said that if it weren't for us, he might not have contacted Mother. Long Qin sighed. Long Qin's face couldn't help but turn pale. Mother had no feelings for Father? This was different from what she usually saw. Usually, although Mother often complained about Father, she could sometimes see longing for Father in her eyes. You have to know that once something like love is broken, no matter how it is repaired, there will be cracks. In the past, Mother deceived Father's feelings and wanted Father to be her backer to help her achieve her ambition of unifying the ancient world. Although now, after years of being together, Mother has developed some feelings for Father, but the deceit in the past can't be erased. So, it's impossible to go back to the beginning. Long Qin shook his head. His face was full of disappointment. Long Qin's body stiffened slightly. She asked, is this Father's intention? He didn't say that, but that's what he meant. I also asked Father if Mother repented, would Father forgive her? Would they reconcile? Father's answer was to wait until she repented. He didn't have too much hope in his words. Long Qin sighed. Long Qin was silent. She didn't know what to say. Qin Feiyang and the other two looked at each other and couldn't help but sigh. They didn't expect Long Zun and Ice Dragon situation to be so serious. It was reasonable for Ice Dragon to be upset after being deceived. But as children, Long Chen and Long Qin would feel even worse when they saw their parents like this. And the person who caused all this, Long Zun, was really not worthy of sympathy. For the sake of interests and ambition, he could even sacrifice his feelings. I'm sorry for making a fool of myself. Long Chen looked at Qin Feiyang and the other two and shook her head. Not at all. You can say it in front of us without any scruples. This is the trust you have in us. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. So now, what are you going to do? Frenzy looked at the siblings and asked. I don't know. Long Qin shook her head. As children, of course, I hope that my parents can live happily together. Only then can Qin and I feel the warmth of a family. But the problem now is that Mother's deceit has become a fact, and with Mother's character, she will definitely not bow down to Father first. Long Chen sighed. Then do you want your father to bow down first? As a man, it's already very magnanimous of him not to divorce her after being deceived. So, we have to start with your mother. White-Eyed Wolf said. Qin Feiyang and Frenzy nodded in agreement. In this matter, Ice Dragon was definitely the biggest victim. To make Ice Dragon bow down first, not to mention Ice Dragon himself, no one would support it. Of course, I know this. But it's not like you don't know my mother's character. To make her bow down is harder than ascending to the heavens. Right now, I'm really helpless. Long Chen rubbed his forehead, his face full of helplessness. Frenzy pondered for a while and said with a smirk, I have an idea. Long Chen looked at Frenzy and said with a dark face, please don't be a bad idea. Damn. You think I'm Brother Wolf? Frenzy was dissatisfied. What are you talking about? Did I offend you or provoke you? White-Eyed Wolf glared at him fiercely. It's the truth. When have you not come up with a bad idea? Frenzy looked at the Long Chen siblings with disdain and said, you just said that after all these years, Long Zun has developed feelings for your father. Why don't you try to provoke him? Provoke him? Long Qin was suspicious. Yes. Go back and ask your mother to divorce your father. Frenzy bared his teeth. What? Long Qin's expression stiffened and a row of black lines appeared on his forehead. Wasn't this a bad idea? White-Eyed Wolf's mouth kept twitching. How could he ask someone to persuade their parents to divorce? This bastard was too mean. However, Qin Feiyang and Long Chen lowered their heads and pondered. Frenzy's idea seemed to be adding trouble, but if one thought about it carefully, this method might have a miraculous effect. I think it's feasible. Qin Feiyang nodded. I think so too. Long Chen nodded as well. Are the two of you crazy? Long Qin looked at the two of them, looking very angry. Qin, don't be anxious. Long Chen waved his hand. You've already gone crazy with them. How can I not be anxious? Long Qin was furious. What was he thinking? If Frenzy's bad idea worked, he would walk backwards in the future. Qin, Desperate times call for desperate measures. Hasn't Mother been complaining about Father? Then we'll just follow her wishes and let her part ways with Father. And that's the main point. Long Chen laughed. Chapter 40-37. What's the point? Long Qin frowned. If Mother really has no feelings for Father, she will definitely divorce him if we ask her to. On the contrary, if Mother has developed feelings for Father after all these years, she will definitely not divorce him no matter what we say. In this way, we can test Mother's true thoughts. When she sees her true thoughts, she may try to change them. Of course. We can also force her to change. She can either let go or change her ways and ask for Father's forgiveness. Of course. Forcing her to change is the last plan. If she can change on her own, we can't do anything. Long Chen explained. So that's how it is. Long Qin suddenly understood. He glanced at Qin Feiyang and the other two and frowned again. What about Mother's hatred for Qin Feiyang and the others? How can we solve this? There's no hurry. There's still a long way to go. There will be opportunities sooner or later. Brother Qin, don't you think so? Long Chen looked at Qin Feiyang and the other two and smiled. If she can really let it go, that's for the best. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. All right. Long Chen nodded and got up. One last thing. You have to help us keep our relationship with Father a secret. The Divine Kingdom can't know about it. Isn't it better if the Divine Kingdom knows about it? When we face you in the future, no matter how bold the Divine Kingdom is, they won't dare to hurt you. We can even benefit from it. The White-Eyed Wolf smiled slyly. You're too naive. What if Scandinavia's courage is beyond our imagination? What if they attack us then? You have to know that in the eyes of the Divine Kingdom, we are also a good bargaining chip. Long Chen smiled bitterly. They dare. The White-Eyed Wolf's eyes flashed fiercely. Come on. They aren't even afraid of the blood oath. What are they afraid of? Long Chen shook his head and looked at Qin Feiyang. Accompany us out. All right. Qin Feiyang got up and appeared in the sky outside with the brother and sister. Long Chen waved his hand and a god's domain appeared. He smiled and said, "Try and see if you can replicate it." Qin Feiyang was stunned for a moment before he nodded and said with a smile, "Okay, I've been wanting to try it for a long time." The purple gold dragon's soul appeared. The eye of heaven opened, and a formless energy enveloped the god's domain. In less than 3 breaths, a god's domain appeared around Qin Feiyang. It can be replicated? Long Qin frowned. Just as I expected. Long Chen shook his head and smiled. You already expected this? Long Qin looked at him in surprise. Seeing how the eye of heaven could replicate the king's draconic penitentiary, I guessed that it could replicate my god's domain as well. As Long Chen finished speaking, the god's domain disappeared. Qin Feiyang also withdrew his fighting soul. Long Qin frowned and said, "But hasn't your god's domain evolved?" "It's true that the god's domain has evolved, but so has the eye of heaven. For me personally, it's not good news that the god's domain can be replicated. Because this means that I won't be Qin Feiyang's opponent in the future. But for the entire sky cloud realm, it's a good thing. Because when he replicates the god's domain, it will double his strength." After Long Chen finished speaking, he looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Brother Qin, in the future, the sky cloud realm will have to rely on your efforts to support it. We can only assist from the side. Don't be so modest, okay?" Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed. Long Chen's combat strength was obvious to all. Even now, he only mastered one ultimate law, but as long as he opens the god's domain, any divine arts and laws would be useless. Moreover, after this battle, when Long Chen returned to the dragon's nest, he would definitely begin to improve his strength. He casually gave Li Feng an inheritance. One could imagine how many inheritances he had in his hands. So as long as he was willing, it wouldn't take long for him to integrate with the will of heaven. Is the friendly competition still going on? Suddenly, Qin Feiyang asked. I'm not sure. When I return to the dragon's nest later, I'll go take a look. If the friendly competition continues, with the demon ancestor's strength, the first place will be easily taken. At that time, he will be able to get 3 more inheritances. The reward for the first place of the friendly competition was the inheritance of 3 ultimate laws. In second place was an ultimate profundity inheritance of a supreme law and an ultimate profundity inheritance of an ordinary law. The third place was the inheritance of 1 ultimate law. The 4th place to the 10th place would be divided into the remaining inheritance of the ultimate laws. As for the people outside the top 10, their rewards were the epitome of the laws. Originally, the reward for the first place was definitely not going to run away. But now, with such a thing happening, the friendly competition couldn't continue. With the competition interrupted, they couldn't force the inheritance of the laws from the divine kingdom. Besides, with the current relationship between the sky cloud realm and the divine kingdom, the other party wouldn't be willing to take it out. Then I'll leave it to you. As for me, Qin Feiyang glanced around at the broken land and sighed. It's all my fault that the western continent has become like this, so I need to do something. Long Chen nodded and smiled. Then we'll meet again. After saying that, he opened a space-time passage and led Long Qin away. Sigh. Qin Feiyang sighed and returned to the tea garden. Looking at the 15 iron boxes on the table, he smiled. At least we didn't work in vain. You can keep these inheritances first. When we kill the geniuses of the divine kingdom, we can go directly to Long Qin to unlock the seal. Long Qin must have done it on purpose. The white-eyed wolf snorted. Even if she did it on purpose, so what? Don't forget. If it weren't for the help of the siblings, these 15 ultimate inheritances of the law of death would be worthless to you. And now, although there's a seal, as long as you work hard and master the will of the heavens, it's only a matter of time. So, don't be dissatisfied. Qin Feiyang picked up 4 of the iron boxes and left the Black Tortoise realm again to find Li Feng. Soon, he saw Li Feng at the top of a broken mountain. He was sitting on the ground with his head lowered, looking a little lost and helpless. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and didn't go up to disturb him. He put away the 4 iron boxes and stepped into the sky. As waves of life energy emerged, a divine lotus appeared. It was the size of a palm and had a total of 18 leaves. It was emerald green and emitted a dazzling divine light. This was the ultimate meaning of the law of life, the divine lotus of life. As soon as the divine lotus of life appeared, a majestic life energy surged in all directions like a tide. Li Feng was the first to notice it. He raised his head and looked at Qin Feiyang with a puzzled expression. But soon, he saw a shocking scene. Under the nourishment of the divine lotus of life, patches of weeds and small trees rapidly grew out of the shattered earth under their feet. Moreover, as time passed, the small trees slowly grew into towering trees. In less than 100 breaths' time, the land in front of him, as far as his eyes could see, was filled with ancient trees and hundreds of flowers, full of vitality and vitality. This is the power of the law of life? Li Feng was shocked. It was many times stronger than the law of wood's ultimate meaning, withered wood rejuvenation. Moreover, this life energy was still spreading to the entire western mainland. 5 days passed. The western mainland had changed greatly. The dense vegetation covered all traces of the battle. The battle fluctuations that filled the air were also purified. At this moment, those who didn't know about the western continent would never have guessed that a fierce battle had taken place here. Vegetation and wildflowers were everywhere. It was simply a heaven-like existence. In these 5 days, Li Feng had been looking at Qin Feiyang and the changes in the western mainland. His bewildered state gradually disappeared. Yes. Even if he let go of his hatred, there were still many things he could do. For example, like Qin Dage, protecting the sky cloud realm and the people of the world. He was no longer a child. And his strength was at the peak of the sky cloud realm, so he should bear this responsibility. As for hatred, he lost to Long Qin, and Long Chen personally knelt down to apologize. Why did Long Chen do this? It was not because he was afraid of him. With Long Chen's strength, it was too easy to kill him. Long Chen did this for the sake of the people of this continent. Even Long Chen could put down his pride and kneel to him for the sake of the people of the world. Why couldn't he? That's right. In this life, one could not always be obsessed with the past. Otherwise, not only would he not be happy, but it would also affect the people around him. So now, he had let go. Let bygones be bygones. Qin Feiyang stepped in front of Li Feng and said with a smile, "It seems that you already have the answer in your heart." "Thank you, Qin Dage." Li Feng stood up and bowed. Although Qin Feiyang had not said a single word to Li Feng in the past few days, his actions were actually guiding Li Feng. He hoped that Li Feng could find the value and purpose of life from his actions. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and took out the inheritance that Long Chen gave him and the 4 iron boxes. This? Li Feng was surprised. This inheritance of the ultimate profound of the time law was given to you by Long Chen. The other 4 iron boxes were exchanged for by the siblings when they went to Ice Dragon. Qin Feiyang briefly explained the situation. Because Li Feng still did not know about these things. The divine kingdom is so despicable? Li Feng raised his eyebrows. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and said, "You can't say that. After all, if it were you and I, we would do the same." "That's true." Li Feng nodded and looked at the 5 inheritances in front of him. He sighed and said, "I really admire Long Chen more and more. He can even let go of the hatred of the extermination of his clan. Compared to him, I feel like an ignorant child." Because Long Chen was carrying the hatred of the extermination of his clan. And the Cloud Mountain village he was in was nothing compared to the entire dragons. Long Chen could let go, but he was still trapped in the past. Compared to Long Chen's righteousness, he felt a little ashamed after waking up. Don't have such thoughts. Not only us, even Long Chen can understand your feelings. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. "Thank you." Li Feng lowered his head. Carefully thinking back to the past, it seemed that everyone had always been tolerant of him. For example, in the Nether King's Hell, he killed the innocent and absorbed the flesh and blood of living creatures. It was Qin Feiyang and the others who interceded for him that the blood demon race let him go. Later, when he entered the sky cloud realm, he killed wantonly in the northern continent. After Qin Feiyang and the others learned about it, they still tolerated him. This was all love for him. It was indeed time for him to grow up and not be so insensible anymore. The error-free chapters of Immortal God of War will continue to be updated in the hand-fighting bar. There are no advertisements in the website. Please bookmark and recommend the hand-fighting bar. Chapter 4038. Qin Feiyang patted Li Feng's shoulder and said with a smile, "Speaking of which, you are luckier than Demon Ancestor and the others, because the inheritance that Long Chen gave you is not sealed." Li Feng scratched his head. "However, don't let down Long Chen's expectations of you. Not only this inheritance, the other 4 great inheritances were also proposed by him to be given to you." Qin Feiyang warned. "I know." Li Feng nodded solemnly. Qin Feiyang smiled, turned around, and flew towards the sky above the Shen family village. Li Feng put away the inheritance and immediately followed. Very soon, the two of them arrived above the Shen family village. Although the earth had been restored to life, the village was long gone. The terrain had also changed greatly. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and an invisible force enveloped the area below, causing the mountains and rivers to tremble. He was restoring the terrain. For an expert of his level, as long as he knew what it was like before, restoring it to the past was just a matter of waving his hand. In less than a moment, the familiar terrain appeared in front of Qin Feiyang's eyes. Following closely, he landed on the ground again and called out Madman and the White-Eyed Wolf. The 4 of them worked together and spent half a day to personally create a brand new Shen family village. Although they were all new, the location of the village, the appearance and number of houses, as well as the layout of the village, were almost exactly the same as before. "Qin Dage, you are so good to them." Li Feng laughed. "People have to know how to be grateful." Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Then, he buried more than a dozen spirit veins and crystal veins underground. And let the White-Eyed Wolf set up a time array that lasted 5,000 years a day. After doing all this, Qin Feiyang let the White-Eyed Wolf inform the Divine King to bring the Shen family village back. Because it was the Divine King who brought the people of the Shen family village away. At that time, the Divine King took the people of the Shen family village and fled directly to the Sea of Heavenly Clouds. After all, the battle fluctuations were too terrifying. As long as they escaped into the Sea of Heavenly Clouds, they would be truly safe. When the Ghost Divine King brought the entire village back to the Chen family village, they saw the familiar village from afar. The group of people were immediately dumbfounded. How could the Shen family village remain intact after such a terrifying battle? Furthermore, even the terrain around the village had not changed much. At the entrance of the village, Qin Feiyang, Li Feng, White-Eyed Wolf, and Lunatic stood side by side. That is, Qin Feiyang, Little Devil King Li Feng, Golden-Winged Wolf King, Madman Mo. Everyone in the village looked at the villagers standing at the entrance of the village and their faces were filled with respect. Furthermore, it seemed like he was intentionally waiting for them. What did they do to deserve this? Why would these big shots wait for him in the village? They waited for the Divine King to arrive at the village entrance. With Shenmulan in the lead, they all knelt down and kowtowed, greetings to the 4 lords. Qin Feiyang was stunned for a moment, then hurriedly helped Shenmulan up, and said, "Brother Shen, how long has it been? You've already become so distant." "Brother Shen?" Shenmulan looked at Qin Feiyang in bewilderment. Why would he call him that? "And Dazhuang, Little Jia." Qin Feiyang then looked at Shen Dazhuang and Little Jia, and laughed, "You guys should get up as well. You know us?" The 2 of them were also extremely bewildered. "How can I not know you?" Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and said, "Everyone, get up and take a look at your new home." "New home?" Everyone stood up one after another and looked towards the village. Soon, they discovered that although everything was the same as before, everything was new. Moreover, the energy of the crystal vein and the energy of the soul vein in the village was also completely different from before. Shen Dazhuang and Shen Xiaojia looked at each other, then looked at Qin Feiyang and asked carefully, "Did you build this for us?" "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. Shen Dazhuang was immediately overwhelmed by the favor and said, "How could I let you personally?" Qin Feiyang waved his hand and interrupted Shen Dazhuang's words, and laughed, "You guys have taken care of me for so many years, this is a small matter that I should do." Take care of? Everyone was suspicious. Why didn't they remember taking care of this person? Moreover, the other party was such a powerful person, he didn't need their care. Don't you understand? The Qin Feiyang standing in front of you is the one who has lived in your Shen family village for decades. The madman grinned. He has lived in our Shen family village for decades? When the villagers heard this, their expressions immediately became startled. It seemed that in these years, the only person who came to their Shen family village was Gu Feng. Wait. Gu Feng lived here for decades, and even took care of him. Everyone seemed to have thought of something and looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. Yes. I am Gu Feng. I'm really sorry for lying to everyone for so many years. Qin Feiyang smiled apologetically. You are Gu Feng? Gu Feng is you, Lord? Shen Mulan's eyes widened. Shen Dazhuang, Shen Xiaojia, and the other villagers all looked at Qin Feiyang in disbelief. This big brother Gu Feng who had lived in their village for decades was actually the famous Qin Feiyang? For them, this was undoubtedly a bolt from the blue. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded, looked at Shen Xiaojia and the group of young people behind her, and said with a smile, I watched you all grow up. Big brother Gu Feng, Qin Feiyang, Shen Xiaojia and the group of young people murmured, looking up and down at Qin Feiyang. It wasn't that they didn't believe it, but they really didn't dare to believe it. Because the difference in status was too great. In the past, although Gu Feng had shown powerful strength, he didn't look so terrifying. But Qin Feiyang was an existence that countless people respected, and he was a big shot that stood at the top of the sky cloud realm. At this moment, the man in front of them changed from Gu Feng to Qin Feiyang. Their hearts were really hard to calm down. Back then, I had some problems in cultivation, so I came out to travel the sky cloud realm alone. Later, I accidentally came to your village. Your kindness and simplicity made me stop in my tracks. From then on, I stayed in the village. I am very grateful to you. Especially Dazhuang and Xiaojia. Since the day I grew old, you have always been by my side to take care of me, clean the house, and talk to me, allowing me to have a peaceful and happy old age. Qin Feiyang slowly said, his calm tone was full of gratitude. So that's how it is. I knew it. Your strength is so strong, and you can even take out the eternal youth elixir to prolong one's life. Shen Mulan suddenly nodded. Shen Dazhuang, Shen Xiaojia, and the other people in the village also slowly accepted this fact. However, as Qin Feiyang's true identity was exposed, everyone became cautious and no longer had the same feeling as before. Don't feel restrained just because I'm Qin Feiyang. I'm still the same Gu Feng from before. There's no change. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Really? Shen Xiaojia asked carefully. Qin Feiyang nodded. I don't believe it. Shen Xiaojia shook her head. You don't believe it? Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned and smiled helplessly. Then what do I have to do to make you believe it? I don't know either. Anyway, I just feel that you're different from big brother Gu Feng. Shen Xiaojia lowered her head and muttered. Qin Feiyang looked at the little girl and asked teasingly, So, you're still a little unhappy that I've been resurrected? No. Shen Xiaojia hurriedly waved her hands and looked at Qin Feiyang. Of course I'm happy. But I don't have the same feeling as before. Qin Feiyang walked forward and rubbed Shen Xiaojia's head. He looked at the villagers and smiled. I know that you guys will definitely feel some pressure when facing me now, but whether it's in the past or in the future, I will always be the Gu Feng that you guys are familiar with. In the future, you can continue to call me Gu Feng. Everyone looked at each other and a smile gradually appeared on their faces. Alright. He's Gu Feng. Cough cough. Since Lord Qin has already said so, what are we afraid of? Shen Mulan looked at the villagers and smiled. Gu Feng had long been used to calling him Gu Feng, so he couldn't hold back for a moment. Brother Shen, you should call me brother too. Qin Feiyang laughed. Shen Mulan looked at the sincere Qin Feiyang and nodded. All right, then I'll take advantage of my seniority. Don't say that. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and smiled. He glanced at the village and said, I don't know how to thank everyone for taking care of me all these years, so I took the initiative to bury more than a dozen spirit veins and crystal veins here, and also set up a time array that lasts 5,000 years a day. I hope you guys don't mind. What? A time array that lasts 5,000 years a day. The eyes of the villagers suddenly trembled. Shen Xiaojia said, Brother Gu Feng, you mean that we will live in the village for 5,000 years, but only one day will pass outside? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Then I'll have to work harder in the future. Shen Xiaojia's face was full of excitement. Shen Dazhuang and the other young people in the village were also very excited. However, the older generation in the village was very calm. As expected. These things were only tempting to the younger generation of the Shen family village. The older generation did not care about these things at all. Qin Feiyang smiled. Also, I've prepared some gifts for you guys. What gifts? The eyes of the group of young people lit up. Qin Feiyang smiled, took out a qianquan bag, and handed it to Shen Mulan. For me? Shen Mulan was stunned. Qin Feiyang said, the things inside are very important, and they need a reliable person to take care of them. What important things? Shen Mulan muttered, took the qianquan bag, and carefully checked for a while. He found that there were only about 100 pills of various shapes and colors in it. Shen Dazhuang and the others also surrounded it. After seeing the pills, their faces were full of doubts. Because they did not recognize a single one of these pills. Qin Feiyang said, these are all pills to open the door of potential. His words were not to be shocked to death. As soon as they heard the words, open the door of potential, the villagers were stunned. If it was not because Qin Feiyang took it out, they would not believe it even if they were beaten to death. Brother Shen, give it to me first. Qin Feiyang stretched out his hand. Okay. Shen Mulan, who was in shock, instinctively handed the qianquan bag to Qin Feiyang. Chapter 40-39. Qin Feiyang took out a medicinal pill and patiently explained how to use it. Because different realms required different medicinal pills. This must be explained clearly. The medicinal pills that opened the door of potential were different from other medicinal pills. If these medicinal pills were taken wrongly, they could lose their lives. A moment later. After Qin Feiyang finished explaining, he looked at Shen Mulan and smiled. Brother Shen, do you remember it? Shen Mulan looked at Qin Feiyang, slightly lost in thought. Although the face standing in front of him was not the same, Qin Feiyang's eyes at this moment, as well as the intimacy revealed, were exactly the same as the previous Gu Feng. Moreover, the dignified overlord of the Sky Cloud realm was actually so patient to explain the use of medicinal pills to them. This character was too good. Brother Shen? Qin Feiyang looked at him suspiciously. Huh? Shen Mulan came back to his senses and looked at Qin Feiyang apologetically. I'm sorry, I was a little distracted and didn't hear it clearly. Would you like to trouble you to say it again? Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded and explained in detail. There's really nothing to say about their attitude. Looking at Qin Feiyang lowering his head and seriously explaining to Shen Mulan, Li Feng couldn't help but shake his head and smile. Indeed. Madman and White-Eyed Wolf nodded. This also showed the position of the Shen family village in Qin Feiyang's heart. A moment later, Qin Feiyang finished talking again, looked at Shen Mulan and said, "This time you heard it clearly." "Clear, clear. Thank you." Shen Mulan nodded, his face full of gratitude. The medicinal pills that opened the door of potential, for the Shen family village, was a great fortune. No need to thank me. This is a parting gift for the young people in the village. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. You're leaving? Shen Mulan was taken aback. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Shen Xiaojia looked up at Qin Feiyang and asked in puzzlement, Brother Gu Feng, why are you leaving? Isn't our place good? It's good here. Qin Feiyang scanned the village before lowering his head to look at Shen Xiaojia and apologetically said, but I still have something important to do. I can't stay here forever. But, Shen Xiaojia mustered her courage and hugged Qin Feiyang's arm. She shook her head and said, I can't bear for you to leave. Little Jia. Shen Dazhuang glared at Shen Xiaojia and said, Gu. Qin, he didn't know what to call her now. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, just call me Qin Dage. Isn't this a little disrespectful? Shen Dazhuang asked fearfully. What are you talking about? Qin Feiyang angrily knocked on his head. Shen Dazhuang rubbed his forehead and laughed. As expected, nothing had changed. He was still the same big brother Gu Feng from before. Then, he looked at Shen Xiaojia and said, Qin Dage is such a powerful person, he must have a lot of things to do. Furthermore, he still has to fight with the people of the Divine Kingdom and protect our Sky Cloud realm. How can he have time to play in the village every day? I know. But I just can't bear to. Shen Xiaojia lowered her head and muttered. Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed. He pinched Shen Xiaojia's nose and laughed, I promise, I will come back to see you when I have time in the future. Shen Xiaojia rubbed her nose, raised her head and looked at Qin Feiyang, you said it, you can't go back on your word. Qin Feiyang nodded. But there's no need to be in such a hurry. Why don't you guys rest here for a few days? Shen Mulan looked at Qin Feiyang's group of 4 and said. That's right. It's only a few days. It won't take up too much of your time. Look, not only did you build a home for us, you also gave us such a precious gift. No matter what, we have to thank you properly. The other villagers also spoke one after another, their faces full of sincerity. Shen Dazhuang didn't say anything, but there was a hint of anticipation on his face. Qin Feiyang glanced at the crowd, then turned to White-Eyed Wolf and the other 2. White-Eyed Wolf said, I really can't wait to go to the Divine Kingdom, but since everyone is so enthusiastic, why don't we rest here for a few days? That's fine too. Frenzied Wolf thought about it and nodded. In fact, he also couldn't wait to leave for the Divine Kingdom. The sooner he killed those 3 prodigies, the sooner he could integrate with the will of heaven. I'm fine with anything. Li Feng shrugged. All right then. Qin Feiyang nodded, looked at Shen Mulan and the others, and said with a smile, then I'll have to trouble everyone again. What are you talking about? We can't be happier. Everyone was full of smiles. An old man shouted, don't just stand here, quickly go back to the house and prepare a banquet to entertain our guests. Right away, right away. The group immediately ran into the village. Shen Mulan also looked at Shen Dazhuang and scolded jokingly, don't just stand there, quickly go and prepare a tea table and chairs, do you want everyone to stand and chat? Just at the entrance of the village, the scenery here is good, and the air is good. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Okay. Shen Dazhuang nodded, and quickly took out a small round table and a few small chairs made of bamboo from his cosmos ring. Sit down and chat. Shen Mulan looked at Qin Feiyang and the others and smiled. The four of them sat around the table. Shen Mulan accompanied them. Shen Dazhuang, Shen Xiaojia, and a group of young people and children all gathered around, looking at Qin Feiyang and the others with curiosity and admiration in their eyes. Shen Xiaojia suddenly asked, Qin Dage, there were two beautiful sisters, and they said they were your sister and wife, is this true? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Then it's over. Shen Xiaojia's face turned pale. Shen Dazhuang was also a little frightened. What's wrong? Qin Feiyang looked at the two of them suspiciously. When I saw your body disappear, I thought they did something to you. So we scolded them and chased them out. Shen Xiaojia lowered her head, not daring to look at Qin Feiyang. That's it? Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. With a thought, two women immediately appeared next to him. They were Mermaid Princess and Fire Lotus. Greetings, lords. Shen Mulan bowed at once. You don't have to do this. Yes, we should be the ones apologizing to you. We were too abrupt at that time, and we might have scared you. Sorry. Regardless of whether it was the Mermaid Princess or the Fiery Lotus, they both behaved gracefully and politely. Don't mention it. Shen Mulan quickly waved his hand. That, Shen Xiaojia gathered her courage and walked to the two of them. She lowered her head and said, Sisters, I was a little confused at that time. I really didn't mean to drive you away. I apologize to you now and admit my mistake. The two of them looked at each other and smiled. It's okay. You're also worried about your brother Gu Feng. Besides, thanks to you and Dazhuang for taking care of him all these years, we should thank you. Mermaid Princess walked forward and gently held Shen Xiaojia's hand, comforting her softly. You really don't blame me? Shen Xiaojia asked timidly. I really don't blame you. Mermaid Princess smiled. What a cute girl. That's good. Shen Xiaojia heaved a sigh of relief and said with a smile, Then can I call you sister-in-law? Of course. Mermaid Princess nodded. Then can I call you sister? Shen Xiaojia looked at Fire Lotus again. Yes. Fire Lotus smiled. Next. Mermaid Princess and Fire Lotus did not return to the Black Tortoise realm either. Madman and White-Eyed Wolf also called Zhuo Shaoxian and Fire Dance out. Everyone had been cultivating all this time, and when they were fighting against the Scandinavian kingdom, everyone had been tensed up, so they could take this opportunity to relax. The enthusiasm and kindness of the villagers quickly moved them. Now they finally understood why Qin Feiyang liked this small village so much. It was because the people here had the most simple side. During this period, with the help of Qin Feiyang and the others, Shen Xiaojia successfully opened the first few doors of potential. Because her cultivation just happened to be at the 9-Star War sect. Seeing the doors of potential successfully open, the entire village was overjoyed. In the blink of an eye. 7 days passed. In addition to the 5 days that Qin Feiyang spent to repair the western continent, 12 days had passed since the battle with the king and the others. The creatures of the western continent had all returned, including the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. And now everyone knew about the battle between Qin Feiyang and the others and the Divine Kingdom. As expected. Knowing these things, especially knowing that the king was defeated by Qin Feiyang, the morale of the Sky Cloud realm instantly soared by a large margin. Now in the Sky Cloud realm, everyone was no stranger to the king. He was the ruler of the Divine Kingdom, the strongest. But now, even the strongest person of the Divine Kingdom was defeated by Qin Feiyang. Didn't that mean that the Sky Cloud realm already had the capital to contend with the Divine Kingdom? So, not only the morale, but the fame and prestige of Qin Feiyang and the others also increased once again. In the past, the most prestigious people in the Sky Cloud realm were the Feather Emperor, Xue Zhu, Little Rabbit, Dragon King, Feng Ho, and the Qilin Master. But now, it had become Qin Feiyang and the others. The older generation like the Feather Emperor couldn't hide their brilliance. In addition, the Divine Kingdom didn't make any other movements in the past 10 days. And the friendly competition in the land of the buried gods had also stopped. The hundreds of thousands of young talents of the Divine Kingdom had already returned to the Divine Kingdom under the leadership of Old Wu that day. Perhaps from the beginning, they didn't intend to take out these so-called rewards. It was completely a bait to lure Mu Tianyang and the others out. On this day, Qin Feiyang and the others gathered together with the villagers and had a happy breakfast. Then it was time to say goodbye. No one forced Qin Feiyang and the others to stay. Because they all knew that this group of people were carrying a heavy responsibility on their shoulders. Moreover, they were protecting the entire Sky Cloud realm, not just the Shen family village. After watching Qin Feiyang and the others leave, Shen Mulin shook his head and sighed. I really didn't expect that our Shen family village would have such luck to meet such a noble person. Yes. The elders of the village were filled with emotion. Little Jia, you must work hard. Not to mention anything else, they helped you open the door of potential. You can't let them down. Shen Xiaojia's parents looked at Shen Xiaojia very seriously and reminded her. I will. Shen Xiaojia nodded. Dezhuang, you have to work hard too. And you guys, Shen Mulin looked at the youngsters in the village and said, in the past, I didn't dare to think about it. But now, it's different. We have our own spirit veins and crystal veins. We have a time array that lasts 5,000 years a day. We also have a divine pill that can open the door of potential. I hope that all of you can work hard and become people like Qin Feiyang and the others in the future. Yes. The group of young people led by Shen Dezhuang roared one after another. Shen Mulin nodded, then glanced at everyone in the village and said in a deep voice, there's one more thing that you must remember. No one can leak out the time array and the divine pill that opens the door of potential. Even if someone threatens you with their life, you must rot in your stomach. Understood. The villagers nodded one after another. Everyone understood the principle of being guilty of possessing a treasure. You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.